Hello and welcome to the Video Game Dads podcast. This is episode 23. Thank you for joining us. The Video Game Dads podcast is a bi-weekly independent podcast where three guys in the basement talk gaming, fatherhood, and everything in between. Where can you email us, Adam?
You can email us at videogamedads@yahoo.com.
Yeah, and Facebook us on facebook.com/videogamedads. And then you can also tweet at us at videogamedads, and you can also Instagram at us at videogamedads. Sorry, I haven't been updating a lot of that recently, but still, our Facebook is where to go to, and you can message us anywhere. We are family friendly, so you can listen to this with your kiddies in the car, but not or around, or grandparents. Hello, grandparents. Whoever's around.
Hi, Grandpa.
Yeah, that you want to just not swear around. But not promising no adult content. So Shane is off. We are your hosts. I am Ben.
I'm Adam.
I am Chris.
Oh, look at that. I didn't introduce you yet, and you just said your name. People are going to be so confused.
Following up with the pattern.
No, that's perfect. That's what you needed to do. So we kind of thought, too, here and there, we're going to try to get some interim hosts, as like sometimes two of us might have to be gone at one time. And Chris, thank you for...
I promise it won't just be me here.
Yeah, no. Yeah, can you imagine? You should... Do you know what we should have had you do? You should have said the entire intro. Like, no one would recognize your voice. People would get really pissed and write in hate mail. Chris is actually... So, Chris, you are a childhood friend of mine.
I am.
Perfect. Look at that. You already know what to do. I say
know.
something and then you come back and say, yes, that is true. This is kind of how podcast people talk. Like, you and I we've talked to each other since we were 4, but we don't talk to each other like we're on a podcast. Like, hey, how are you?
This seems like an odd information era type of conversation.
Yeah, it is. But like, it's a little awkward to do that. So if anything, all I'm going to do is like stand closer to your mic. Stand closer to your mic. That's all we end up doing.
I feel
is
like I'm about to lick it now.
Yeah, I know. That's about where you need to be.
Okay.
This is what we do constantly without telling any of our listeners. We like constantly point at each other, like, get your face closer to the mic. We can't hear each other. So now you get to...
You guys get to see how the sausage is made today.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, another sausage reference.
Yeah.
That's what this podcast needs.
Yeah, that's Adam's favorite
Hey,
reference.
man,
Yeah.
it's three guys in a basement. You knew what you were walking
Yeah.
into.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you are actually a legitimate video game dad. You got 2 kiddos, right?
I do.
Daughters.
Yep, 2 daughters, and ages are 3
Yeah.
and 5. One
Yeah.
is about to no longer be 3, so I'll let the listeners guess which way that's going.
Yeah. So that's funny. All of us have well, not all of us. I mean, I'm at 8-month-old, but like we all have young kids. Like you
Yeah.
said, 5, and that might be the winner is oldest kid we have right now.
Yeah, it is actually. Yeah.
Only reason I came today.
Yeah, we're being defeated by an army of toddlers,
Oh,
like
my
at any
gosh.
in any given moment.
Yeah.
So I don't actually know where the break for toddlers happens.
Neither do
because-
I. I keep hearing like terrible 2s, tantrums in the 3s.
Yeah.
I think my kid's finally getting out of it. Like he's finally not tantrum prone.
I see. Yeah.
I'm not saying he's totally emotionally
Oh,
stable.
don't worry. It circles
but
back around.
Yeah, but it's getting better.
Yeah.
It's getting better.
Yeah. And I think I mean, that's fun. Like you had a legitimate, like you're happy about
Oh,
this.
I'm totally happy.
Yeah.
yeah. To not have to have like a Jerry Springer type episode, every time we have to take a bath or whatever.
Yeah.
Oh, it's fantastic.
Throwing chairs and everything.
Yeah. I mean,
Nice.
it always ends with someone crying,
Yep. Yeah.
but not so much anymore. It's gotten a lot better.
So do you, is there kind of a big difference between your 2 girls?
I actually get asked if they're twins almost all the time.
They do look pretty similar. Yeah.
There is a little bit of a height difference between them, but that's about it. Mira's a bit more outgoing, closer to a tomboy. Lara
Yeah.
loves wearing dresses all the time and refuses to even think about wearing pants and
Yeah.
throws a little screaming fit if we suggest it. So
I remember Mira was your first kid, and like you don't have pets in your home, right? I'm about to out you.
We have
Hopefully,
fish.
Naran doesn't listen to this. So your wife. So like you didn't have pets around, and like when you first brought over Mira,
Yeah.
do you remember? You're like, oh yeah, crawl over the ground because we had dogs and cats, and you're like, she's not exposed to any of that. My wife's family doesn't like pets around her at all, and I know that that's important. And so like I just outed you.
It's entirely
Sorry,
down
Nara.
to my wife's allergies.
Yeah,
Like
sure.
she has terrible allergies anytime there's anything with fur around.
Yeah.
We have fish, which do not have fur the last time that I checked them.
Yeah, but it was good that you were giving her some exposure to the dogs and cats. I've never seen a kid so crazy about dogs and cats.
Yeah.
It's as if she hadn't seen them before, which is probably the
Kids
case.
always like what they don't
Literal
have,
truth.
man.
Yeah.
It's if they don't have it, they want it.
Yeah, I've noticed
You know?
that. So with Sebastian, sorry, we're starting out right in the family talk. Sorry, guys, this is a video game podcast too, but we're just
Yeah, hang with it. We'll get to the games.
We're just getting into it. It is a game. We know this.
It is a
real
game. Life is a game.
But yeah, Sebastian, 8-month-old now, doesn't quite crawl yet because he's huge, right? He's like 22 pounds or something.
Yeah,
crazy.
he's like half head. That's what you are when you're 8 months old.
Yeah,
You're
I'm
half head.
Him holding his head up, good enough for me. As big as his head is. But he, like anything I have in my hand, not as colorful as what he has. He just wants it. Remote control, the phone, anything else. And he is, he's being cute. He's learning how to like kiss, but kiss meaning he'll just walk up. He'll lean towards you with an open mouth and just
I give you the big
cheek.
saliva.
Yeah, the big cheek thing. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, you kind of get what's going on, but you
Yeah.
just tried to eat my face.
Yeah.
That's where he's at. But anyway, so we'll have some interesting stuff to talk about. I wanted to get ahead of the game. This year's been kind of great, right, guys?
It's been a good year. Yeah.
Yeah.
For
it has
the
been.
1 or 2 games that I've played.
Yeah. Yeah.
3 and 5-year-olds.
Yeah, of course. But Chris and I used to play games all the frickin' time. And you don't have a Switch yet, but you're thinking about it. Is that right?
Yeah, my general rule for Nintendo is when a new system comes out, I'll wait until the newest Smash Brothers comes out, and that
Smash.
forces me to buy it. But
Okay.
I think I might have to break that trend for Odyssey.
Yeah, it might be worth breaking. No spoiler alert. We'll get to that. But we were just going to talk about how good this year is, and then we're going to compare it to some of the previous years. We're going to try to do it ahead of everybody, so then that way we could claim we thought of this. Because in the next month, people, if you're listening to this podcast late, you won't want to listen to it because everybody's going to talk about the year of 2017. Let's compare it to everybody. But I think that's important. We picked out a few years where we've had really good December to December releases back in the past, and this year's is just as good as any of them.
Yeah,
I think
it's been a good year.
Yeah, and if we're including a console release, but we don't even need to do that. We've just got a couple others. So I thought it was interesting to stroll down memory lane. It'll be our Days of Future Past rolled into one. But really, I think we should get into it. Let's do our Video Game Book Club.
It doesn't matter what comes, fresh goes better in life. With mental fresh and full of life. Nothing gets to you, staying fresh, staying cool. With mental fresh and full of life. Fresh goes better, Mentos freshness. Fresh goes better with Mentos fresh and full of life.
Okay, and our Video Game Book Club is brought to you by Mentos, the fresh maker.
It's so fresh.
Yeah, I took that from you. Nothing's better. They used to actually bring these back. They used to play them for 15 years. And then now they don't play them anymore. When's the last time you've seen a Mentos commercial?
They were everywhere, and then they were gone.
Yeah.
15 years ago or so. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that has to do with the discovery of Mentos and Diet Coke.
I think it does.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
There were children killing themselves everywhere with Diet Coke bottles.
Can you imagine, like, if
And-
you were the one to discover that? Like, it went on for a while.
It's a good thing I didn't know that when I was a kid,
True.
or some would have blowed up.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I love. Did you ever see the YouTube video of this guy who did it and he like faked his own? He like faked that he like died and he had all these people come, and it actually looked so real. People like freaked out. He was like, no, it was part of it because what he did was he put the Mentos in there and then put his mouth above the entire thing and it like shot straight up and he acted like he was choking.
Like out of his ears.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've seen Die Hard with a Vengeance, right?
Oh yeah.
Like
yeah.
the bombs in Die Hard with a Vengeance, it's like two things mixing. It's like
Oh,
a
yeah.
white liquid and a kind of a brownish red liquid,
Yeah,
and then
that
that
ends
makes the bomb. That's actually just cherry Coke and liquefied Mentos.
Yeah.
That's what John McClane is trying to diffuse the whole way through.
That's funny.
Yeah,
I
a
love
little
that movie.
little known fact. We know lots of movie trivia, but yeah, that's Mentos and Diet Coke.
Well, remember when they find out like the one at the school was like he's like what pancake syrup, and he doesn't say like maple syrup, right? He say pancake syrup.
Yeah, something like that.
And
yeah.
then he's like,
Sure that's
well,
not
I'm
dubbing.
no, like do you remember? He's like, I'm not a monster, McLean. I wouldn't blow up some children because the fake bomb was at the school, but the real one was out on a boat somewhere.
Yeah,
I remember
yeah.
that.
My favorite version of Die Hard or any of the movies is the TV edit version for Die Hard 2. Because the guy that does all the voice dubbing sounds nothing like Bruce Willis.
Oh,
and
because he has to say,
it is hilarious.
Yippee-ki-yay.
Yeah, yippee-ki-yay, dude guy.
Yeah.
I think they actually
it's-
dubbed it to like Yippee-ki-yay, Mr. Stucker.
Yeah, something like that. Like there's all
Okay.
these horrible. I mean, the people who did the dubbing for that were totally tongue in cheek about the whole thing, and
Yeah.
they turned it into a comedy with Russians.
Which you can do now. Did you guys like the second movie? Did you watch it? Die Harder?
Oh, Die Harder. You're talking about the newest one?
No. This was number 2 at the airport. So
Oh
you had Die
yeah.
Hard,
I've
Die
seen
Hard.
it a bunch of times. Yeah, still got Carl Winslow. It's still good.
Oh, wasn't it Die Harder, or is it all Die Hard 2?
I don't know. There's so
it was
many of them.
Die
It's Die
Hard
Hard
too.
with a Vengeance.
Every one
It's-
of them are appropriated scripts. Die Hard has never gotten. Well, sorry, the original trilogy never got a Die Hard script. It was someone wrote a script, but we're going to repurpose it for this.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay. So, like, did they ever tell you, like, what the movie was going to be before?
I haven't read in far enough.
Okay, then no, that's fine. That's interesting. What about the first one? Was it like that, too?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
The first, I'm sure at least the first 3 were. The fourth might be as well.
Huh. Interesting. Yeah, once they got to 4, it got ridiculous, and he was like, "I'm an old cop.
I'm gonna hack a nuke.
I'm an analog cop in a digital world." Like that was. You guys are laughing, but that's actually a
Well,
line
but that was
he
that was
says.
the whole shtick of all of the Lethal Weapon movies too.
True.
You know,
I'm getting too old for
I'm
this.
getting too old for this. Yeah.
But when Danny Glover says it, it's awesome.
Yeah, it's perfect with Danny Glover
Yeah,
saying
and
it,
also
yeah.
with like Roseanne's hair version of Mel Gibson. That's the way I think of it.
He and Mel Gibson hug each other and jump in the
Oh,
tub
yeah.
to avoid the bomb blast.
Okay, so
Which works much better than jumping in a refrigerator.
It
to
does. I
survive.
was having the same thought. Yeah, Indiana Jones refrigerator. It
Oh,
actually
yeah.
was done first in Lethal Weapon with the bathtub.
I obviously don't know Lethal Weapon as well. They had 3 of those suckers, right?
4.
4.
And
Yeah.
a TV show.
Yeah,
That's
Jet-
on
Jet Li is in
now,
number 4.
maybe?
That's right. I
Yeah.
did see that one. I remember that. Man. Anyway, hopefully they don't do another spinoff and bring him back. Poor Danny Glover. Is he around?
Oh yeah, Danny Glover's
Okay.
still alive. Yeah,
All right. Sorry. So
he's doing commercials about pseudo-bulbar affect now.
if you want to know about pseudo balding affecting, then you know what to do. You think I'd just let that go? No, I'm just kidding. I once was taught a class by the guy who did the Crestor commercial. How's that?
Oh, yeah?
That's pretty cool,
Oh,
huh? Yeah.
neato.
What's the class on?
Mandy not Mandy. Mandy Patinkin is his name. Do you guys know the I am the 6-fingered, or like you kill my father, prepared to die? From
Yeah.
That guy.
It's the guy from Homeland.
That guy went to school at Kansas, and he gave a little master class and came to my university, and he talked about
on projecting your voice?
well, it was about talking about how awesome I am, because that's what he did the whole time. He was supposed to teach us, and all he talked about was how he was in this Crestor commercial. He's on this other show now too, and he's been on like this Law and Order stuff, but he was pretty full of himself back in 2001.
Oh yeah, once you're on a Crestor commercial, you've made it.
Yeah, and especially because he was like he talked about like 3 or 4 times, like, dude, you're good. Crestor's still around, and it still causes a few side effects. I should call him and be like, hey man, what'd you do to me? What'd you do? Actually, thank God right now I don't need Crestor. If you do need it, more love to you. I'm sure it doesn't have a lot of side effects. I'm like freaking out because if someone, probably at least one of our listeners is like, wait a sec, I take Crestor. What is he talking about? Crestor is fine. Just take it as directed. Moving on.
Listen to your doctor.
Yeah. So our Video Game Book Club is a segment where the dads and the listeners are invited to join us, and we talk about a game much like a book club in between episodes. We just ask that it's not in the top 15% roughly or so of whatever system library we are currently on. But again, as listeners, you guys can pick any system library whatsoever and submit it to us via email or something with a little spiel, and we will put it in our randomizer to have that picked, as well as having a video game dad pick. It was Shane's turn when we get to that, but he's out, so we will save his PlayStation pick for when he is back next. So we're going to move on to the Saturn, but I won't tell you any more until we get to that point. So we had 2 picks.
We did
We had Legacy of Kain,
Blood Omen,
Blood Omen. And wait, is it Blood Omen Legacy of Kain, or Legacy of Kain Blood Omen?
Legacy of Kain, Blood Omen.
Colon.
Yeah.
blood colon.
Colon blood omen.
Oh,
Yeah.
man. You
Yeah.
need to go to the doctor
Cain
if you
needs
have-
a colonoscopy now.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Not good to have blood in your colon, guys. Wouldn't that be funny if they spelled out colon and they just had like a mix up at the thing
Yeah,
where
yeah,
they're-
and a picture of a camera on the end of a long tube.
Yeah. It's like those birthday cake that says only say Jason. It's like happy birthday, only say Jason. That's like There's some pretty look up your Facebook if you want to get tired. Look up like fail birthday cake writing or whatever. There's some pretty hilarious ones.
And almost as good as
best,
failed tattoos.
Yeah, failed tattoos is a little more sad though to me because I'm like, it's funny now, but to that guy or girl,
Yeah.
yeah,
No regrets.
no regrets. I got no regrets. I don't know, man. Once you get a lot of consonants together, I wouldn't know how to spell it either, but I would maybe Google it.
Yeah.
Tattoo artists out there, unless some people want to do it. I would probably do it on purpose because I think tattoos.
I think
are
maybe
kind of
some of those actually are on purpose.
Right,
They've
yeah.
got to be.
I love the ones that have like. Have you ever seen like the defunct stations like G4 TV, Tech TV? They used to give out like free like I don't know video game systems if you have a G4 TV. And G4 TV, for those who don't know, is like defunct. It was a great station. Back
Yeah,
in
it
the
actually
day.
wasn't bad.
Isn't that where Olivia Munn got her start?
Yeah, it was. And
Before she hit the pinnacle of Psylocke.
yeah, and then dated Aaron Rodgers and then divorced him and whatever she does now. I liked her better when she was just talking video games, but
I like
She's
anybody
actually a
better
pretty
when they're
good
talking
actress.
video games.
yeah, she's not
She
bad.
was on Newsroom. And that was pretty fun.
Yeah, Newsroom is
Aaron
pretty good.
Sorkin.
Yeah, that's good
Yeehaw.
stuff. Okay, so sorry, we should get to this. It is of our two picks. What should we talk about first?
Let's do Legacy of Kain. Why not?
Perfect. Okay, so Legacy of Kain was your pick.
It was my pick.
Tell us about it, Adam. Why did you pick this?
Well, I picked it because my friend got this game when I was, I must have been like 12 or so at the time. Maybe a little bit. No, I was a little bit older than that. Maybe around 14. Anywho, he got it, and it was a very different, very adult game compared to things that we had played previously.
Yeah.
And it was just sort of one of those games where it was like, wow, it's sort of a coming of age sort of thing, I guess. We didn't play much of it, and I never really went back to it. It's something I've always sort of wanted to play again.
Yeah.
But it was one of the games that made me realize early on that, like, oh, video games are getting older just like I am.
Yeah.
And that, they're making these things for people who aren't just children anymore.
And this wasn't at all. This was not like medieval dark. This was dark.
Yeah, it's a dark game for
Yeah.
sure. So I basically wanted to go back and play it for two reasons. One is I had that memory of it and always have wanted to go back and play it and haven't done it. And the second being that it was actually developed by Silicon Knights, who also did Eternal Darkness, which is probably my favorite survival horror game of all time.
Yeah, it's a very good one.
So, and they're, again, a defunct studio that it no longer exists. But, I like their other work, so I thought, hey, this would be kind of cool.
Yeah. So this is a type of game that I never. What year did it come out?
It came out in 96.
6. Nice. That was such a PlayStation year.
It really was a good PlayStation year.
Yeah. So this was a type of genre game that I haven't. So initially, actually, Chris and I both played the sequel, Legacy of Kain: Soul Reaver.
So I think the demo disc actually came with whatever, was it PS2?
Dreamcast. It was Dreamcast.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
That's right.
there actually is a PlayStation version of that
Yeah,
too.
there
I
is.
went and looked back because I corrected you on the last one. Said no, it's a Dreamcast game, and then I looked it up and I was like, oh no, Benjamin was right. There's
Yeah.
a PlayStation version.
Yeah, it came out 2 years before, and it's great, but the Dreamcast one just looks a whole lot better. And then they had a sequel to that. We'll get back to the original game. A sequel to that called Legacy of Kain: Soul Reaver 2 for the PlayStation 2, which evidently is pretty good. And then past that, and going on to like Xbox, they had another one. One of them was really poor. I can't remember unless you guys remember. It was like Legacy of Kain: Blood Omen 2, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, correct.
That one was not very good. But then the last one, like Legacy, the third one, I guess.
Defiance.
Thank you. I wonder if I own that. I feel like I own that. Do you own that?
I own that.
You own that.
I love that series.
And you played that one too?
Oh, yeah. I've played all of them.
So which ones have you all of them, even the first, but not so much this first one?
Yeah, the first one came out like
96.
Adam was saying, I was not old enough for the material. It starts out with the protagonist dying and then getting resurrected as a vampire, which...
Yeah, because he dies, and then he goes to hell, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, and,
And
it's,
then
go ahead. It's pretty dark.
Yeah, it's really dark. It's sort of like we're going to send you back, is a creature of the night, evil guy.
Yeah, these are like vampires,
Yeah.
but these are not the type people know. Longtime
Not sparkly
listeners.
vampires.
Yeah, they're not sparkly. They're not like
These are
loving each
not
other.
Twilight vampires. These ones don't sparkle in the moonlight.
No, they
and
walk real
and worry
slow.
about their girlfriends. No.
Yeah, these are all really
Closer to Interview with the Vampire with
Yeah. So there are like, it's a dungeon crawler. It is what's different about this game, which again 96 is you're not used to playing the bad guy. This is kind of the bad guy that you're playing.
Yeah. Your goal is to be sort of bad.
Yeah, and
Well,
So-
you're on a rampage of vengeance.
Yeah,
trying
you're
track
looking to
down the
get
people
back
that
at the
killed you in
people
the
that got
bar.
you. Yeah.
yeah. So this is a payback movie. This
Yeah.
is a revenge flick.
Starring Jason Statham.
So what? How the type you'd call this kind of like a dungeon crawler over the like top down.
Yes, the way I kind of think of it is it almost feels like a PC game.
Okay, it does. Yeah.
The way I think of it is it's sort of like Diablo except less grindy.
Yeah.
and it's not based on loot pickups
Yeah.
as much. I mean, there's still a lot of power ups and a lot of things to pick up, but it's sort of the same thing in as much as you run around through areas. They're not as open as Diablo. It's more corridor. It's more dungeon kind of.
So would you say it's kind of like Diablo meets Legend of Zelda? I'd almost say it's really weird. Right?
Yeah,
That
yeah.
same-
It's more adventure-y
Yeah.
than those games, and it's more based for console than those games. But it kind of has the same feel of some of those quasi action RPG PC games.
That's a weird
Yeah.
thing to say. Like when I say it's kind of like Diablo meets Legend of Zelda, it's like saying it's like Disney meets Reservoir Dogs. That would be not a
To be
ride
fair,
I would
it's a
want to
kid
do.
running around the country killing things with a sword. So
Yeah.
Zelda's not that pristine.
That's true, and he's got a big problem with pots.
yeah.
And that's plural, folks. Didn't think I was talking about marijuana. I'm just talking like that dude goes in your house and breaks your pots, and you just have to smile and say,
Well, hey, he's giving archaeologists a purpose in 100 years.
That's true. Why are all the pots that the archaeologists bring up are cracked
It must
and
be
broken?
natural. No, it's
No.
a little nightmare of a child.
Yeah, Zelda goes and breaks all the pots, and it's true.
Link. His name is Link.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
right. Ah, shit.
You made the
don't
most
bring kids
classic
back from the
error ever.
forest.
Yeah, the most classic error. That's what I get. I have not played a ton of Zelda games, Adventures of Link games. But anyway, so back to this game. I actually think the art style and the look of it is very good. I think it's appropriate.
It is,
It's
yeah.
very,
Very dark.
yeah, Renaissance.
It's moody and brooding.
yeah,
Gothic?
yeah,
Yeah,
Thank you.
it's
Yeah.
dark.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's very gothic. It is
it's
also
medievally.
and it's kind of it's slow. So I bought this actually, and we should tell our listeners if you are interested in this. It is on the PlayStation Store for $5.99 to download,
Yes.
and that's pretty cool. A lot of old PS1 games are available, and after like looking for one, actually shout out to one of our listeners said, "Hey, it's on PSN." I was like, "Oh," and he was an Australian listener, so I was like, "Maybe it's not on our," but no, it's on the U.S. PlayStation Store for $5.99. You could play the old Legacy of Kain, and maybe even the Soul Reaver one. I don't want to.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't look for Soul Reaver
Yeah.
on it, but
So you can take a couple different forms in this game. Did you get to that part, Adam?
Yeah.
Okay, so like you can turn yourself into a quasi werewolf. What's the other name of a werewolf?
Lycan.
Thank you.
Yeah.
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 Lycanthrope.
Yeah, you turn yourself into a lichen, but no one likes him.
Womp, womp.
These are the jokes, rim
Dad
shot.
jokes,
Ba-dum, chink. And he moves a little faster, so that's a plus. I did not get to the end game of this thing, but what I liked about this game was this is not a genre. This is why I like the book club. This is not a genre I would normally like, but I was playing it and I was thinking like, all right, I could see the reason why people get into these games. It probably feels like a soft RPG adventure. It's not too difficult. I
Yeah,
like
it's
the fact-
definitely it's kind of a precursor to the Western RPG stuff that kind of really got the ball rolling a few years after this.
good. Yeah. It's not like super text heavy. And like, tell me about the music, the voiceovers.
Yeah, so there's a lot of voice work, and there's a lot of narration in it, and even a lot
Yeah.
of the characters that aren't the main characters, like NPCs and things, have a little bit of voice narration. And of course,
It's kind of Shakespearean.
yeah, of course, everything like this. Everyone
All
everyone
the voice
medieval.
actors are Shakespearean actors for for the most part.
That
Yeah.
is true.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is true.
Yeah, but everyone has like it's funny how everything made in the United States where it's like old or ancient. It doesn't matter if it's Rome or Greece or wherever, everybody has an English accent.
Yeah.
And so this is kind of the same thing as that.
Yeah.
But there's also a lot of like, you can hear people kind of screaming or dying off in the background. There's a
Yeah.
lot of like overtoned kind of,
Yeah.
this stuff to make you feel a little uneasy the
Yeah,
whole time you play it.
It
Yeah.
isn't lighthearted, and it is different to play this kind of, like I already said, it is different to kind of play this kind of bad guy. Nowadays, you can do it. You can pick the light course and the dark course. The thing is, I have heard, and I kind of wish I was into all these games and know that the story through line is actually like pretty good. And well, actually, did we talk about the story? Did we even kind of get to that?
Sort of. I mean, basically, you get killed.
Yeah,
Right.
right. Yep, right at the beginning. Yep.
And so you're going back, with a little bit of bloodlust to go get the people that got you.
Yep.
Essentially.
Yeah.
And so, sort of at the beginning of the game, you come in, and you probably know more about this than I do, but you find these pillars, and each one of these pillars is linked to like a certain bad guy, and then your quest is to go remove end these people.
Yeah, yeah, and
Destroy the pillars.
I've heard
Yeah.
I've heard that all these games, like once you kind of play them together and play them in order, you actually find that the story is very satisfying. I didn't get to the end game, Chris, but like spoiler alert, go ahead and tell us. What
So at least for me, coming in as a mid-30s guy, this was
Yeah.
my first awareness of the alternate endings.
Yeah.
Not necessarily influenced by how you play, but you get to make a choice at the end.
Yeah,
So, one choice, you get to sacrifice yourself and save the land. The other choice, you condemn the world and rule as a vampire overlord, which leads into the forced decision of the sequel. Sort of like what they did between Infamous and Infamous 2.
so like, so then what happens when you pick what's the good ending? What's the good
Kill
ending?
yourself.
Okay, so the good ending is kill yourself, and the bad ending is like save everybody.
Become a vampire overlord,
Oh.
condemn the world to rot because you've essentially tarnished the pillars of Nazgûl.
So I didn't watch that. So what happens when you do that? It's just the end game, basically,
that's-
and
you
both
get
are the
some
end game.
credits, yeah.
Okay, but the other one is actually what you should pick. Do you get to? Does it? Do you know? Does it maintain the game length at all? Or does it just end at both times?
Can't remember.
Okay, yeah, no, that's fine. Yeah, so like I said, you and I played these back in the day, and what I really liked about it is, again, time and place. We were, how old would we have been there? Like 13? So like,
Probably closer to 15. It
Okay.
felt like late middle school, maybe. Or
oh,
late
that's
high
right.
school.
That's right, because we're talking Legacy of Kain, then we're talking, yeah. But what's cool about that is like you and I used to watch like horror movies and stuff.
Yeah.
And like,
Spent an entire summer trying to power through everything.
yeah, we played, we finally were at this point where we've considered ourselves not wimps, and we thought like, let's watch all the, one of us had a magazine that said the top 50 scary movies of all time. And we were at this age where we saw that and thought, hey, let's do it. And so we went and watched all these movies like Hellraiser. And of course, ended the number 1 and number 2 were like Texas Chainsaw Massacre and Exorcist. Exorcist messed up both of us a little bit. I remember that. Like, again, like thinking we're just like, oh, this is from the 70s, an old priest and a young priest. They got some weird voodoo stuff. But then when, we don't have to get into spoilers, it's actually just not good content for this kind of family podcast because, but those scenes where everybody knows what we're talking about.
Yeah.
When we saw that and saw like what comes out of that mouth of the devil taking over the girl and all the stuff that she does and how messed up that is. Yeah, we were kind of messed up for a little while. We had to watch like some Disney
Well, that
films
was someone
afterward.
roughly our age
That's
saying
right.
that on screen.
Yeah.
And we're too young to really differentiate between real life and fiction, so
Yeah. And
good
Texas,
times.
same with Texas Chainsaw. Did you ever watch this? Sorry, we're getting to a horror.
Yeah, not until probably a little bit older. Yeah.
Okay, but Texas Chainsaw Massacre, that old one was freaky too. We got the willies about that. I remember we were just like, okay, we're done. And we got through Hellraiser was like not a big deal. Nightmare on Elm Street, because they're kind of like campy.
yeah.
And like everyone's campy, but like those two aren't. And it's funny, that kind of reminds me of like Resident Evil 7. I get a lot of Resident Evil 7 vibes from Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah. But anyway, back to this.
Opposed to 4, where a guy chases you around in a mask with a chainsaw.
Yeah, that's true. That one too. 4 is really good. We'll get to that with our video game years or whatever. But So anyway, we talked about the graphics, we talked about the sound, we talked about gameplay, replayability. That's hard for me to say because I couldn't.
I
even
think
get
once
through.
you play through it, you probably have played through it.
Yeah. It's not a very expensive game.
No, I think you get a complete copy for like $15.
Yeah, or maybe even less. And then, of course,
Yeah.
you could do the PSN route if you want to just check it out. Maybe it's on the PlayStation Now, too, that kind of service where you can just... But anyway, it's not expensive. It's pretty common. It actually sold pretty well, 500,000 copies from what I looked
Yeah.
at. And that back then, 500,000 copies was actually very successful. But nowadays that wouldn't.
Yeah, and
be.
it was a Crystal. It was published by Crystal Dynamics, and that was really. It came out kind of in their heyday. I mean, they were Gex and Pandemonium.
Oh, yeah.
and they had a lot of big games. Back then.
Yeah. Did they mess with Crystal Dynamics? Didn't mess with Tomb Raider?
Yeah, they
did.
they have
That's
been
right.
involved in Tomb Raider. Yes,
That's right.
I think they
Okay.
even have like some.
I don't really understand how them and Eidos and everybody else all fits
Yeah,
together, but
and
I know they were all involved in that stuff.
Okay.
There's some Legacy of Kain like Easter eggs or discoverables in one of the new Tomb Raiders. So
Yeah.
Oh, really? I didn't
Yeah.
even know that. That's cool. Okay, so I'd say it's a good recommendation for you if you're kind of into that sort of thing. If it kind of sounds like you like I said, Legend of Zelda. If you like Diablo, if you like dungeon crawlers, if you don't play dungeon crawlers like me, I still was able to understand how to play this game because that's my biggest thing. Is when
Yeah, I mean, it's got a low entry bar.
Thank you. Yes, I love a low entry bar. Set the bar low so I can stop it. That's fine.
That's not really what I was saying.
No,
but-
no, I know, but it's funny. I always think that like what I do for a living, there's a little more females than males in my profession, and I always say like, yeah, I'm not, I'm the only guy in the room. I'm equally the ugliest guy here, and I'm the most handsome in the world. That's what's funny. But anywho, so I'd say recommend it. Pick it up, grab it. Let's move on.
All right.
We don't need to do our back of the box because we already did that. Let's move on to someone say the name of this game so I don't mess it up.
I'm going to say Muramasa.
Muramasa. Yep, and Chris is raising his hand. Thank you, Chris, in the booth. You were like,
is this not a visual
I'm going to
medium?
mispronounce it like 5 times before the end of this. I want to be like, it's going to be, marinara or something by the end of it. But
Yeah.
Muramasa.
so boy, this is another one where I super love both of these picks. Adam, kind of take it away.
Yeah, so this is a game. I actually bought it back in 2009 when it came out. And primarily because
Hipster. No, it's good you picked it.
maybe I kind of was being a hipster. I'm not sure, but
Did you
I
have
remember
an ironic mustache when you got it?
I did not. I should have.
Oh.
But no, I mean, I remember seeing it in magazines and previews and that sort of thing, and it looked a lot different than things I had been exposed to previously.
Yeah.
Very Japanese, but it has this kind of neat artwork color
Yeah,
style to it.
yeah.
And I thought, wow, that really looks pretty interesting. And it was on these lists of like, this is sort of a sleeper, a game that's going to be really good that isn't going to be very popular sort of thing. So I was like, oh, I think I kind of want to play that. So I got it when it released and played it, back then. And I haven't really picked it up since. When one of our listeners put it in, I was pretty happy about it. So here we go.
Yeah, so what I liked about this game, just my history of it is I didn't know about it. I have looked at like Wii games for like trying to find, as we say, hidden gems. But I always try to find games like this Video Game Book Club stuff for the Wii specifically. And either I glossed it over myself or I didn't notice it. The cover doesn't do itself any favors. It looks super generic. It looks like it could be any genre of game whatsoever.
Well, and it's not by any real recognizable people that you would think.
No.
That would make a game like that. Vanillaware, the company that made this, now kind of has a name. They've made a lot of games that people follow if they're into such things.
Yeah.
But this is like an early game of theirs, or at least it's the first game with their moniker on it that I know of, but it's not even on the front of the box. Ignition Entertainment is on the front,
yeah.
because that's the publisher. And I mean, who the heck is that?
Yeah.
They made some other games back then too, but there's just not, it was released somewhat widely, but wasn't really popularized, wasn't really advertised.
And on the Wii.
Yeah, and it was on the Wii, so it just kind of flew under the radar, for a lot of people, I think.
So this type of game is a hack and slash. Give yourself, I guess, a little bit of an arcadey, 2D, super artistic. Chris, you're probably better at this vocab than me. What is kind of like a Japanese art style? Does it have a specific? It's kind of like a painted effect, kind of like those old
like watercolor.
tapestry
Yeah.
watercolor. Sure, that works. That's
Very
what
dynamic.
Yeah, that's what it looks like. It just kind of looks like you're a 2D form. And you can start like doing Bayonetta type stuff about like slashing people in the air, combos. the combat is not that difficult, but this game has a ton of style. And I was kind of surprised when I was doing a little bit of research after playing this game, which I picked up at GameStop, which luckily, like, I looked through check this game out if you can try to find it, because it is very much a hidden gem, and it's also like not expensive. I got it for $11.99.
Yeah, I was gonna say you can find it between $10 and $15.
Yeah,
for complete.
Yeah, up to 20-ish, but like, for how good this game is, and it's not super duper popular, I was able to look, and you know how you could check the inventory.
Sure.
Probably about 1 in 5 GameStops around had it, so like you might be able to find it. I'm big on like finding it complete, but for $11.99, I grabbed it, and I really, really liked it. I was surprised I never heard of it. Difficulty not that bad. It's a long game.
It is a long game, yeah. And
Holy cow!
And there's, you know, it's a beat 'em up with like light RPG elements. So you quote unquote level up, you know, with enemies, and you go between exploratory mode and hack and slash mode.
Yeah.
And the whole dynamic of the game is it's built on all these different swords that you get, or Muramasa, I guess they're called. But but each one of these has its own. They have the same basic moves, but each of them has their own special power moves. It uses this little meter, and that's kind of where the intricacy of the game. It's sort of like collecting these swords, because there's like a bunch of them in the game.
Yeah.
And each one of them has a little bit different power up, plays a little bit differently, and so forth. It's a really good game, especially just for a pick up and play kind of game. Really, it's the art style is kind of what wins on this game. It's just the thing just drips with style.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just got tons and tons of style.
Yeah. And it backs it up with the gameplay.
Yeah,
and the length, I guess, 20 hours.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
It's you know, the only knock I have on it really is that it does get repetitive. It is a very repetitive game, and for anybody that hasn't played like this on the Wii, if anyone has ever played Odin Sphere. This is made by the same people. It plays very, very similar to Odin Sphere. So if you like Odin Sphere, you'll like this game.
Yeah. Or like if Dragon's Crown was a gymnast. I don't know if that makes any sense.
Yeah, and it's like Dragon's Crown, which is also a Vanillaware game.
There you go.
So, you know, if you like that kind of stuff, you'll like this sort of game.
Yeah. What'd you think of the music?
It's good. It's very traditional Japanese. It's got a lot of Japanese instruments.
So that's just it. There's a lot of like, it's a kabuki style with the art style. There, all of this like Japanese folklore stuff. Chris, you're kind of, not to nerd alert you, but like you know this stuff better than I do. You weren't able to play this game, but like, if you are a fan of Japanese culture, some of the old what's that movie studio that makes those Japanese movies? Ghibli or whatever. If you like those movies, you probably already played this game, but it's very much like that, and it has a whole bunch of like folklore and things that I'm sure to the target country, or I'm sorry, continent or whatever.
Oh yeah, I'm sure that there are a lot of cultural things that are lost on me.
Oh yeah.
You know, so where is Vanilla based out of? Are they a Japanese?
I guess they're Japanese. I mean, it's everything they make seems to originate over in Japan.
Gotcha.
So I do think it's a Japanese studio. You know, the list of the people who made the game. I mean, everybody has Japanese games. So, So I do think it's localized.
And also, part of me is not lost. I don't see an American company naming themselves that name. Think about it. Vanillaware. What do you think? We're vanilla. You know, the most popular ice cream, but no one picks that as their favorite, right? Vanilla and chocolate. Like, it's just saying like, how about okay games? Just okay. Better than not.
We're passable.
Yeah, passable games. It's modesty that's lost on sometimes us around here. Like machine games, right?
Yeah, exactly.
We have Pandemic studios.
Yeah, Pandemic, big huge games.
Big huge games. That's literally
Maximum Games.
Maximum Games.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of what else. There's like Supernova Games. There's all these. Yeah, everything. Yeah. All the Western developers are like bang, boom, pop, blow up. You know, like everything is, you know, bigger and badder over here, and everything over there is like, we're just.
And here's the Vanillaware. Here's the
Vanillaware.
Here you go. Yeah. You want a scoop? There's 2 scoops of your Vanillaware. Sorry, I don't know why I'm making them talk. They're not. This game is actually not like, this game is like got some really cool action to it. If it was somehow made into a movie or something, I would watch it. You know, there's no way I beat this game for sure.
Well, I can tell you generally, at least for Muramasa, if memory serves, and I'm relying on memory in an age where Google exists. But
go
Muramasa
for it.
is
we break out our
demon
phones.
blade over in Japan.
Yes.
And it's one of those blades. Once drawn, it must taste blood before it can be sheathed again.
Ah.
So
There you
I
go.
don't know why they're calling multiple swords Muramasa, but
They actually, I mean, that is the subtitle
Yeah,
of the
the
thing.
Demon
Yes.
Blade.
It's
yeah.
called Muramasa
Okay.
the Demon Blade. So there you go. Look at
Yeah.
that. You didn't know that. You don't need Google. Good for you. But yeah, very good game. Not expensive. Pick it up. See if you can find it at your GameStop. If you got your Power Pro reward or whatever, it makes it even cheaper. Oh my God, I sounded like we just we gave a plug
Now
to
brought to you
GameStop.
by GameStop.
I know.
Yeah, come back, listeners.
Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, there's deals to be had here and
well,
there.
are there even any remaining alternates to GameStop? Like EA Games is gone to the
Oh, you
best
mean
of my
EB
knowledge.
games?
EB
EB
games.
games.
Yeah,
Funko
yeah.
Land.
Oh, one letter off.
Yeah, but I mean, EA Games would have been
Yeah.
gone too, knowing EA. They would have
for-
closed their
EA
store.
will never leave so long as people buy
Yeah.
serialized yearly sports titles.
Yeah, they're
Yay,
lucky they have
Madden.
that. They need to make hand over fist money. We talked about that on the last episode, how they like shut down. Some new info came out about that. Evidently the story of that Star Wars game. Okay, the whole Star Wars game was not really well put together. It was just canceled by EA. But the
Wasn't
story,
it overly ambitious or something?
they say it was overly ambitious. I think
Yeah.
what happened was too many cooks in the pot. They didn't know what to do. They were getting. They saw like potential for who knows. I just think they were being greedy. But ultimately, supposedly, the rumblings that come through the people that worked on it, they have said that story was awesome. That Amy Hennig came up with, who did Uncharted 2. Like,
and was also
What?
the director for most of Legacy of Kain series.
Amy Hennig. I did not know
Wow,
that.
we just came full circle.
Holy cow!
Video game Inception.
So wait,
Well, I'm here today.
Yeah, I know, but wait, so Amy Hennig did Uncharted 2. What else is she? Do you have any idea what else she's done, or you just know that?
No,
Okay,
just know I
Yeah.
was a big fan.
Yeah.
this is what I like to do. I like
Uncharted
to,
2 is one of my favorite games.
Oh,
though,
yeah.
So,
Yeah.
it's such a good game.
yeah. But anywho, yeah, really good game. Both of these games I think are great games to pick up if you want to get in a new series and you like that kind of cool stuff, the lore, the gothic, the vampire stuff. And it's like real meaty vampires, not this stuff that these teenagers running around talking about their feelings, sparkling in freaking sunlight.
I'm just here for some blood.
That's all they want. Check out the Legacy of Kain series. It is very good. Outside of one game, you can skip Blood Omen 2. Check it out. All right, so moving on, shall we do our kind of email/listener pick? Or
Sure, yeah.
Let's do that. Okay.
Let's do that. So I'm not sure how to pronounce this. Can you pronounce that? This up at the top of my phone there?
Yes. Jacquem.
Jacquem. Okay.
Yep, that's
so
it.
So it is kind of like it's spelled then. It's
Yep.
a European
It
name.
is, and he's specifically from.
Switzerland.
Yeah, how cool is that? That's where I was born.
Yeah, that's where
I know at least in the Netherlands, J's are generally pronounced as
Yeah.
Y's.
Jacquem,
So it's-
right?
Well, I just know.
Well, that's what I was
based off of
wondering
my
if it was like
name.
the soft sound or whatever.
Super weird, and I didn't even learn the correct pronunciation of it.
Maybe
so-
I'm wrong too. I don't know.
Yeah.
My name sounds really weird in my own.
But if it's
dialect.
wrong, we apologize and still like you
Yeah.
communicating.
Sorry about that. Yeah, give us the phonetics because
Yeah.
we're Americans. Either way,
Yeah. Anywho, so he basically wrote a nice email relating some birth stories with Benjamin, and
Yeah.
also said that he found us through Retro Game Squad. So thank you, Retro Game Squad.
yeah, thank you.
And he gave us a few things to pick from here. He suggested Clock Tower 1 for the PS1.
Great.
Clock Tower 3 for the PS2.
Okay.
Ghost Trick for the 3D, or sorry, for the DS, not the 3DS.
What kind of game is that?
Ghost Trick is like a point and click action adventure game that's
Okay.
kind of zany.
Zany. All right.
It's sort
fun.
of zany and cartoon like.
Yeah.
I did actually play it back in the day. I don't remember much about it.
Yeah.
And then Lost in Shadow for the Wii.
Okay. Awesome. Man, Clock Tower. Chris and I used to play that back
Oh,
in
yeah.
the day. That is a great PS1 game.
I remember hiding in like a cupboard or something
Mm-hmm.
while Mr. Scissors walked around.
Yeah, that game does not hold up well if
Yeah.
you went back to that. That is an early survival horror, but
Yeah.
done with a really cool Twin Peaksy type vibe. And you're literally just hiding from this thing that like comes after you and chases you, and you basically have to hide. And you can hide one time and he won't find you, and you come and hide the second time. You think you're fine, and then he scares the crap out of you. It's one of those. What is it? The ominous movies, the tense movies, the
Sure.
ones that like bring or not movies, games where they just kind of. Anyway, that's good, but I think we're gonna go with a different one.
Yeah, I think we're going to go with Lost in Shadow on this one.
Lost in Shadow
Just
to
be-
put into the pool from your picks. Yeah.
So, and this is basically my fault. I've never played this game before, but I've always thought it looked really cool and looked like it had interesting play mechanics. So,
Yeah.
so that's the one that I'm
Lost in Shadow for the
Wii.
For the Wii, and it is the play mechanics are basically kind of a puzzly. You mess with the shadows and move.
It
them
is.
around.
It's weird. You don't actually look at your character when
Yeah.
you play the game. You are shown the shadow of your character and the level that your character is playing on.
Yeah.
And so you're basically playing the shadow.
And you use the Wii. Something that we didn't mention. I liked that. Did you notice there was no waggle with Onimusha or
Muramasa.
Muramasa, right?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
There, you don't use waggle for that. You actually
Yeah,
use
I just use the Pro controller.
Yeah, you can't use waggle. Actually, they didn't even put waggle in, so that was awesome. But this
Yeah,
game,
it was waggleless.
yeah, no waggle here, or else some.
This game
kittens
does
die.
use some waggle, I think does use
There
it
is,
to
you
bend
need
the
to.
shadows and the light and that sort of thing.
Yep.
Waggle might not be the right word. It uses positioning, I think, of the controller.
Yeah.
Lost in Shadow does. I'm not an anti-waggler though. Just as an aside, I
No.
get a little bit irritated when I see all these YouTubers and stuff like anything with waggle sucks. That's bullcrap. There's a lot of good games that use motion
Yeah.
controls, and there are still good games being made that use motion controls, both on PlayStation.
Yeah.
I guess Xbox.
Yeah.
And Switch has some games that use motion control that actually work really well.
The only thing I didn't like is when you're running and you have to pretend you're running and shaking back and forth,
Yeah.
like you're I don't even know what this move is. Just like you're churning butter at a
Working the maracas.
yeah, something like that. Oh, Wario Land Shake It. If you look at the old Alec Baldwin Saturday Night Live sketch, you guys know what I'm talking
Yeah,
about.
yeah.
Where he's anyway. So that one is a little excessive as far as like wearing out your wrists, and I don't want to like breathe heavy if I'm playing a video game. I digress. Go ahead.
Yeah, and so then we got another pick from Frank. And Frank didn't say a whole lot, but he says that there's a game that he played a lot as a kid, and that's Atari Karts for the Atari Jaguar.
Whoa.
Atari's answer to Mario Kart.
Oh my gosh, I don't know about this game. Like
I
don't know
have
about
played it. I've actually played it recently. Shane has it.
Whoa.
And we hooked it up to the GX TV, the Samsung
nice.
GX
Yeah.
TV,
Yeah,
and
my favorite TV.
and then played some Atari Karts.
Well, I guess we shouldn't talk about
We're
it.
not going to talk about it, but
Is there a reason why I never heard of it?
Well, it's on the Jaguar.
Yeah.
That's probably the biggest reason. Yeah,
Woof.
yeah. Most things on the Jaguar.
So what
most
did he
people
say?
have
He
not
just
heard
said
of.
he remembers he liked it.
He just remembers he
All right.
liked it.
Hey, you know it's
Yeah.
on the tip 15% because nothing is. for
Yeah,
the Jag.
everything's below the top whatever percent on
Yeah.
on the Jag. So I've got everything in the randomizer. You want me to go ahead and hit it?
I think let's do
All
it.
right, let's do it.
Okay.
Hot Wheels Racing.
Yeah.
Hot Wheels Turbo Racing PS1
Yeah.
from Joshua.
What isn't that weird? How we were like, oh, we'll never get a PS1. We are up to PS1, and then randomly we pick it. Okay, good. This
you go.
is a different pick. Nice.
Yeah, my kid's gonna like playing this one for sure.
Give the title one more time. Sorry.
Hot Wheels. It went away. Hot
sorry.
Wheels. Hot Wheels Turbo Racing.
Hot Wheels
Pretty
Turbo
sure
Race.
that was actually a really fun game. I think I remember playing that.
Really? Yeah. So I actually, in between a pick, I was watching YouTube videos, not even searching for it. It did come up, and it like triggered my mind to pay attention because I remember this is in our pool, and like I don't know the specifics of why it's a good racing game, but it looked really good. Did you ever play it? Do you remember?
There's a memory there,
Yeah.
whether it's imagined or not.
Yeah, that's kind of how this thing goes.
Yeah.
But yeah, great. So a PS1 racer, happy to have it. I'm assuming it's inexpensive. Do we
Yeah,
know?
I don't know. We'll have to look it up later, I suppose.
Yeah.
I wouldn't imagine it's expensive. They cranked out a bazillion Hot Wheels games, I would think.
Yeah. Yeah.
Any of that licensed stuff generally is high print run.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's check out the back of the box.
Sure.
So the back of the box is just our way of checking out this game as if we were just checking it out at a rental store. So since Hot Wheels Turbo Racing, let's read the back here. High-speed racing action. Yeah. Stunt, speed, and crashes combined for wild racing fun.
Woo!
Now it's the bullet points, getting right to the bullets. Race over 40 classic Hot Wheels cars. 40 classic Hot Wheels cars. Are there?
Oh, yeah.
Actually, to be honest, some of these, I mean, I recognize some of these. So we've got the Twin Mill and the Red Baron, trademark next to both of those. So if you know what those are. First ever Killer stunt moves, 360 barrel rolls, midair spins.
Do a barrel roll.
Yeah. 3D Hot Wheels tracks, loop de loops. Oh, loop the loop. Is it called a loop the loop or loop de
Oh,
loop?
I think it depends on
Loop-de-loop.
whether or not you're south or north of the Mason-Dixie.
Okay. So agree to disagree. Tomato, tomato. Danger.
Soda or pop, it's the same thing.
Yeah, or fizzy. Did I even- In Australia, they call it a fizzy drink. Oh shoot, people from Australia could call me out on that. But I was on a plane and I tried to ask for a soda pop, and she didn't know what the heck I wanted. She was like, "Oh, a fizzy drink," and I was like, "Yeah, thank you for that. I'll take one of those."
Then you ordered a Foster's, which is Australian for beer.
Actually, Foster's is like
It's like American for Australian beer.
Yeah.
It's Milwaukee. No, it's their version of Milwaukee's Best. Like anytime you say Foster's, and you get something like they got something called Triple X, which is like an actual Triple X, and then Victoria Bitter is a little more popular down there. The two people that know what I'm talking about, sorry about that. Multiplayer action, nice. I'm sure it's not online multiplayer because this is a PS1. Race against your friends. 3 ways to win: speed, stunts, or crash your way off the road. Oh, okay.
Sounds counterintuitive.
Yeah. Oh, I see. Crash your cars off the road, so you can like knock them off via burnout style. Nice. Good to know. Shortcuts, hidden cars, power ups, hard driving soundtrack, Metallica. Okay.
Wow.
What? Mixmaster Mike, Primus, and more. Aha.
So there's some Primus and a Hot Wheels game.
Holy crap. How did they save this? That was the last line.
Yeah.
They just
That
saved
should
the
have
That's
been-
what you lead with.
They should have just put that on the front cover. Yeah,
So-
Metallica, Primus, and
That's where the budget went. That's and it's Electronic Arts game, EA, and it's back
there
when
you go.
well,
Back when they made real games.
and also back when their logo was a square, a circle, and a triangle.
Oh yeah, the old school.
Yeah, they changed that early on. So this must have been one of the last games I think that had this. But anyway, back when EA was respectable. Just kidding. Thanks EA for listening. No one does from there. But yeah, hard driving soundtrack, Metallica, Mixmaster Mike, Primus, and more. I'm excited to play this right now.
I am too.
Yeah, that's fun.
If you ever want to have fun, just look up Primus videos or live performances on
yeah.
YouTube. So weird, but
Are
awesome.
they better than Tool?
Well, it's a lot zanier. I think
Okay.
would be the right
Yeah,
word.
I
than
think
Tool.
that's fair.
But yeah,
Tool
they
meets Guar?
sort of. I mean, they're just different. They're
Yeah.
really, really different.
I guess
Yeah.
I know what I'm doing tonight after the girls sleep.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. They're not going to sleep well unless you put on the headphones.
Yeah.
So anyway, Shane would be our normal pick now for the video game dad pick. So our video game listener pick for our book club is Hot Wheels Turbo Racing for the PlayStation 1. We're moving on to the Saturn. I guess I will go. Sega Saturn, I love this system. I loved it back in the day. I didn't love it when we talked about this last, when kind of Sega gave up on it. And then all of a sudden when it had some weird resurgence 5 years ago and everybody loved this system, I'm kind of like looking around like, and Chris, you remember,
I do.
you wouldn't have known about that unless you knew me, right?
Yep.
'Cause, and I sold you my, my old, Sega Saturn back in like what
Yeah.
year? What do you think? Like 99, 2000?
98 or 99 at least.
Yeah, and I remember I sold it to you, and it required like your mom's permission and all this other stuff. And your brother ended up playing it, and it was in your basement forever.
Yeah. I actually wound up making good use of it when I got grounded because you can put in a music CD and it puts on like this little spaceship flying
Yeah.
through
Yeah,
space.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
my mom would
It
come
did
up
have a
and say,
cooler
"You have the
music
TV
player."
on.
Yeah.
I'm just listening to music."
Oh,
She'd
awesome!
puff off and say, "Ah, that little kid outsmarted me again."
Nice. Yeah, and it still works. Our original one still works. Yeah. And we had every game except Resident Evil. Did you know that that's like probably the most expensive game I owned back in the day? So I sold
did
Chris
not.
all my old games back in the day for, peanuts, I guess, or whatever. And then
It
Resident
was a
Evil.
strange transaction.
Yeah, I know. Well, I was moving on to the PlayStation,
Yeah.
and there was Spyro and Gex Enter the Gecko. But we had some fun on the Saturn. We
Oh,
really
yeah.
liked it. Christmas nights. Gosh. Anyway, we could get on and on about that. No, we can talk about it for a second. I like this. Did you have any history of the Saturn, Adam?
Not much, other than I had one friend that had one, and we didn't go over to his house that much. I was a Nintendo 64 guy.
Yep.
So I was hardcore Ultra 64. I was, buying the hype
Yeah.
around the 60. So I was like, Nope, I'm going to stick with the Super Nintendo until the 64 gets here. But I had a friend who had the option to get a PlayStation or a Saturn, and I pressured him as hard as I possibly could to get a Saturn.
Yep.
And he got a PlayStation.
Nah.
So, but then we had another friend that had a Saturn. We just didn't get to go over there and mess with it very much. So
Yeah.
I had limited use of the Saturn back in the day.
So the only reason I picked the Saturn over the PlayStation, they were the same price. It was because of the 3 pack-in games that you got after it came out, which was Virtua Fighter,
Virtual Cop, right?
Virtua Cop,
Yeah.
and oh my God, Lethal.
No, it was Daytona, wasn't it?
Daytona
Yeah.
USA.
Daytona,
Thank
yeah,
you.
Yeah.
I
Played
recently.
that a lot.
What's that?
We played that a lot.
Daytona.
Yeah. Goes high and away.
Rolling Stone.
Yeah. Gosh, that's awesome. Oh, and game over. Yeah, that's a fun. Doesn't hold up well. I'm actually thinking about it. I'm like, I was about to say that's a really fun game, and now my brain just went through the entire track.
I know a lot of people like Daytona. I never have liked Daytona.
I think it was
that
like
much.
in the arcade. It was awesome.
It was, but
Yeah.
Sega Rally's always been the better of
Yeah,
the racing
of
games.
course.
Like I really liked Sega Rally. It was never much for Daytona.
And Sega Rally is to this day is one of the best rally physics games.
Oh yeah, it's awesome
For the Sega
Yeah.
Saturn. And you go back and there's been people who do like extensive YouTube videos talking about all the Sega Rally series, up until like now. And then you get to the Dirt series, they've got it back. But like before Dirt came out, which is basically a modern day Sega Rally game that started in like 2007. Before that, people still preferred the Sega Saturn Sega Rally version over anything. But anyway, for the Sega Saturn, I'm going to pick a game that is near and dear to my heart, that is not in the top 15%, and that is D. D came out from Warp. Is that not? And not Eidos, just Warp, right? It was a Warp game.
I guess I don't know. I don't know anything about it hardly.
So D, I remember I saw it in the Blockbuster video, and I saw the front of it, and it was an awesome.
It has an awesome cover.
Best
Yes. Yeah.
cover ever. I love this so much. I own it 3 different. I have it on Saturn. I have it on PlayStation long box and the PlayStation small box. Like I love this game.
Yeah, it has a great cover because it's just a D, and it makes you go, "That looks really cool," but what is it about?
What is it?
What is it about? It makes you want to figure it out.
And I turned it over, and it showed basically cinematic scenes that we never saw anything like that before, at least on a home console and not playing computers.
Do you want the story
What's that?
of when we first popped that in?
I don't even remember it. What would happen
So
when we first?
I think you brought this home
Yeah.
right before we were getting ready to go do like a Christmas play where we were playing Roman centurions or something. So we had spent a month memorizing our lines, and then right about an hour and a half before we were going to leave, you popped this in. We started playing through it. Your mom walked in.
Yeah.
And for some reason, we had switched it. I think your TV had put it
channel
on
3.
input 3. We
What
had
it-
it on input 4, or on channel 4.
Do you guys remember that? Okay, so this is funny. This is back when you had an RF switch, and you can still watch it a little bit on the other channel, which was like 4 or 3, and you pick it, but it would kind of look more realistic.
Yeah,
and
well,
when
it would give it like a static haze.
yeah. Okay,
So
go
your
ahead.
mom walked in.
I don't
She's
remember
like,
any of this.
What show are you watching? Is that live television? We were like, no, Mom, this is a video game. And that is how we became the new Sega Saturn ad campaign.
All right, wonderful. I don't remember the end of that, and I don't remember us talking like that. But
No, we had a laugh. We told your mom, and she was coming in because we had to go recite lines for 2.5 hours that night.
Man, we couldn't give away our virginity back
Oh,
then.
yeah.
Gosh, I'm just like thinking back about it. Like we were just so dorky. Like my wife still calls me a dork, and you telling that story to me,
Yeah.
I finally understand what the heck she's talking about. I love it, guys. Embrace it. Nerds rule the world. Really, they do. Oh, that's so funny.
It is our renaissance. I mean, Silicon Valley is on HBO right now.
Oh, man. Do you got the back of the box there?
I
Adam?
do. Yeah, I've
All
got
right.
it pulled up here.
Go for it.
D. A full moon rises over L.A. National Hospital. D. The daughter. Inside, the daughter, doctor gone mad. D. Darkness. But why? Outside, the daughter. D. Destiny. The innocent. Can't read the rest of this.
No. What I love about this is
The
I'm-
innocent, the sufferer, I think. I can't read that last word.
Okay.
D. Despair. They are all about to enter the darkness forever. D. Delirium. With stunning computer-rendered 3D graphics, D's descent into D, death. The dark pit of your soul is a tour de force, D, damnation. Of terrifying secrets and challenges.
Whoever wrote that is a big fan of alliteration.
It is. It's like evil Sesame Street, the back of that one.
Well, you know what I wanted to do after you were done? This is what I want to do. I wanted to snap my fingers and be like, very good. Because like it sounded like you were getting up on amateur hour poetry night.
I know, yeah.
You're like,
I need
despair.
a set of bongos. Bum, bum.
Yeah.
Bum, bum.
Do you have a black shirt and also black pants to wear? And a
And
black
is it
hat?
a black turtleneck?
Yes. And you're like, yeah. And you talk in monotone. Gosh,
All right, to
yeah.
be fair, like him reading through that brought me back, and that is just an awesome game.
Yeah, it is. So we can get more into what this game is, obviously, when we cover it on our next episode. But this is a game where they don't make games like this much anymore. It's a timed game. I do remember, like, if you don't beat it within 3 hours, I believe, the game ends, and you even pausing it, you have basically a stopwatch that you look at, and it counts down to, like, midnight. If you don't beat it in 3 hours, you're done. You also can't save. I don't think, unless you maybe, I don't even think you could save with the save pack. You literally have to play through the entire game in one sitting. But saying that sounds ridiculous. But Chris, you and I played through that game
Multiple times.
dozen times. There's a bunch of little hidden secrets, things like that. It is a
Find the glowing bugs.
yeah, it's a walking simulator before that was a thing.
Sounds awesome. I love walking
Yeah.
simulators.
So you
Do know
haven't
what
played
else
this?
No, I haven't.
Oh, okay.
Do you know what else is a walking simulator?
What's that?
Walking.
Yeah,
like-
that's true.
Yeah.
I guess it's like Myst.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Yeah.
So a good way to think of this is Myst, but not so many freaking complex puzzles that are just made to be complex, and also with a horror-themed setting and real ominous. A lot of I wouldn't even call them jump scares. They're actually like legitimate scary.
Well, they're making use of that D for delirium.
Yeah,
like
definitely.
you get little jump screens to this is a horrific image that you're seeing. Oh wait, it's not really there.
Yeah. So it's like, boy, if you talk about the story, you give it away. But really, if you're a fan of any kind of horror genre, if you like a game kind of like Myst, if you like a game where there's a good like kind of puzzle to it, and it's only one way to go through the game. It's very much it's very much a game for someone who is open to the idea of playing a non-traditional game.
It's a linear path with like little side streets that you come
Yeah.
back to the main path.
Yeah,
So.
yeah. But I think I just feel like it holds up. It's worth playing.
Oh,
If
yeah.
you have this on your shelf, you can find it. It's kind of expensive. That's our Video Game Book Club Dad pick, D for the Sega Saturn, and our listener pick is Hot Wheels Turbo Racing. Real weird, eclectic. They don't mix together very well. But I'm really interested to see how you guys like these games. That is going to be our Video Game Book Club pick for our next episode.
If you smell what the rock is cooking.
So guess what time it is?
What time is it?
It's time for our handheld holler.
What was that?
I don't know.
Yeah, awesome. So anyway, what the hell? I messed that up so bad. Should we keep this in? Should we keep it in?
I have no idea.
Okay, well, we're going to...
We can do it again. You know what time it is?
what time is it?
It's time for our handheld holler.
Yeah, so our handheld holla, and then thank you. You heard what the Rock's intro theme music.
Yeah,
on
I
that
think
one.
that's what was cooking.
Yeah, that's who's cooking.
Yeah.
And you've got
I
three
smelled
more
it.
after this. Thank you. So our listener suggestion, which was worldwide, this contest, and really, isn't that funny? You could say that.
Steve from Ohio.
Steve from Ohio won the worldwide
he
contest.
could have won the Powerball, but instead he won this
No,
crap.
yep.
Yeah.
He named he got us the name of this segment, which is called the Handheld Hollow. Which this is not like the book club. We just honestly want to give some love to the handheld systems. So this is a way we just shout out a game we both like and suggest, and that's kind of about it. And also, Chris, I think might have one. We'll see. So our Handheld Hollow, we're gonna shout out a game that we enjoy that we recommend for you guys to pick up. What you got, Adam?
I've got Dragon's Crown for the Vita.
For the Vita. Oh, you're kind of sneaky because that's like a console game, but you're making it.
It
portable.
is, yeah. I'm a little sneaky, but
awesome game.
The reason why is because we played Muramasa, we liked it.
Yep.
This is another Vanillaware game.
Yep.
It's pretty widely available.
Yeah.
It's downloadable.
Yeah.
There's physical copies of it.
Yeah.
You can play it on the PS3.
You play on PS3.
Yeah.
Anything else?
I know Vita, PS3. I'm not sure other than those two.
It might just be that. Yeah.
But it's pretty good games, kind of a dungeon crawler, side scroller, beat 'em up.
Yeah.
It's kind of similar to there's some old arcade games that are kind of like this. The RPG light kind of beat 'em up games from the 90s arcade games.
Yeah.
It's kind of like this. This is a little bit deeper than those are, but good game, great art style. It's a lot of fun. Everybody should play it.
Yeah, definitely. This is one of those that crosses the threshold of if you're an old gamer, new gamer, you should like it. We can't almost talk about that art, some of the art style of some of those characters.
There's a couple that are a little bit risque. Yeah,
risque and weird. It's kind of like
it's weird. The art style is actually pretty weird.
yeah, it's very exaggerated. So the female barbarians are like their legs are like the size of planets, and they're super muscular. Yet they're also very voluptuous, but they like have the muscle definition of men. It's really it's interesting. We'll just say the least. It's one of those where
it's weird. I actually play as the elf character in it or whatever.
Oh, I haven't played as
the
the
short,
elf.
stocky elf guy.
Oh, nice.
But
was that your go-to in Golden Axe by any chance?
The Golden Axe? I actually do like the short. Well, they're not as big, so they're harder to hit or whatever. And they tend to be really strong.
Oh, good for you.
So whatever.
And they're quicker.
So you're a big fan of Odd Job on GoldenEye?
I was the butthole that chose Odd Job on GoldenEye.
Hey man, that's how you win, I guess.
No
right?
Odd Job. You can't be Odd Job.
And slappers only slappers. Do you remember though throwing? What was fun about that was throwing knives in circles and just constantly hoping you might hit somebody with those. Or rockets only. Rockets only was pretty great. Or proximity mines only.
Hours doing prox mines.
Yeah. Did you know that you can stack 14 proximity mines on top of each other? Because we would try to wait until the game would RAM would run out and you couldn't do it. But literally we would throw one. If you didn't move, you'd throw it again. And that was in a game that didn't really happen. If you think about it, the 64 compared to the PlayStation 1, the muddiness of it and the way the graphics were, that's a whole different story. But that was something that PlayStation couldn't do that I thought was just awesome. The fact that you could see the other person's screen, but then you would look against a wall and hug the wall so then the other person couldn't see where you were at and then turn around and get them. No man,
that's why you had to get construction paper and divide up the television physically.
Whoa.
So you could keep people from cheating.
Jeez, I never did that.
Should have hung a sheet.
We used to do it on Mario Kart, actually, divide the TV up. Yeah, because
Really?
after you
awkward
get
with 4 players.
yeah, well, not on 4-player, but 2-player. Yeah, we put a divider up, one guy above, one guy below, and because when you get good and you really know the levels, you can tell exactly where somebody's waiting to snipe you or whatever else.
That's true.
You start looking at the other guy's screen. Yeah, and, it's cheating, I suppose.
It is. So this leads
Or at
me...
least we used to get into fights about it. You were looking. No, I wasn't.
So
Not how you play Battleship.
Yeah.
So this just reminded me of a pickup I just had, which kind of goes into what we're talking about, multiplayer. Adam probably knows where I'm going with this. I picked up a PlayStation television monitor.
Yeah.
Which is it was upstairs. Yeah, you don't know what I'm talking
show
about.
me.
Okay. So basically around the PS3 time, PlayStation decided to put out a 3D monitor.
Yep.
And some people might have heard about this, but it was literally Sony brand, which they make TVs, but it was Sony PlayStation brand, and it kind of had the shape of the PS3. Came with 3D glasses, and this was back in 2010.
Yeah, I think it's shutter glasses, right?
Yeah, it has the active shutter glasses. But the thing that's interesting about this is when you're playing 2-player, and it only works on this TV, I feel like this and a couple other Sony Bravia TVs. So 2 people have 3D glasses. Follow me here, folks. This is really interesting if you didn't know this. It has a feature called Simulview. And Simulview, which is trademarked and now defunct, but awesome, and this is why I bought this TV. It was on a Newegg sale for $90. 27-inch monitor, HD, fine. That's probably going rate or a little expensive, but perfect shape. It has Simulview, which means that when you're playing a 2-player game, like first-person shooter, and you know how it splits the screen traditionally, this actually splits the screen for each person viewing through their 3D glasses one image that only that person can see. So when you don't have your 3D glasses on, it's a mess of 2 different things. It looks like you just got poked in the eye, so you can't really tell what's going on. but you can set each 3D glass, and you can see videos of this on YouTube where they put it in front of the camera and then like lift it and put it down. And you actually, each person is seeing an independent, different screen while playing 2-player, and you're getting a full screen. You're not getting a slash in the middle. So that eliminates seeing a partially weird, obstructive screen, and that also eliminates the other person cheating. It's like Battleship, where the other person's like locked in a room or something. Like, it is awesome. And I've yet to, well, I tested it out, but I've yet to like actually play it. One of these days we should play something with it.
I actually saw an internet video here recently.
Oh, yeah.
Where somebody was showing like a PC setup on a projector screen,
Yeah.
doing this exact same thing. And they were like, it's the future of video gaming going to happen in the next, 10 or 15 years or whatever, and all this
Poor
kind of
guy.
stuff. And I was thinking, dude, that happened like years ago.
Oh, so he was talking about
Oh
recently.
yeah. They were saying this is the future. Like, you're going to be able to all sit in the same room, wear your glasses, and play a game together, and not being able to see each other's screen. I'm like, that already happened.
And Sony did it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's already happened years ago.
I don't know when that came out. I feel like it came out like 2012 or something.
Yeah.
It came out in a bundle. You got it with the PlayStation for, I want to say it was like $350, and you got the TV and the PlayStation and a game or something.
Yeah, it actually
like that.
wasn't too bad when it came out. I contemplated getting one, but I just never had pulled the trigger on it.
Yeah, and nowadays you can find them cheap or refurbished, because there was a nerd alert. There was an issue with the HDMI and a ROM chip that caused a lot of them to be recalled. And then it turns out when you try to get a refurbished one if you're going to get one rather than use market, because otherwise you're going to have to. There's a faulty chip. Doesn't affect all of them. But that faulty chip, if it's been refurbished by Sony, you're fine. But just FYI, if you search one of these things out, I would not, if you get on the used market, I would not pay more than $50 for it. You can find some video game stores have them. Randomly, 2 independent video game stores here in the city have them for too much, overpriced. But check them out. So sorry, I got in a little side tangent. I just thought that was pretty cool. A cool little video game piece of memorabilia that I am happy to own. All right, so your handheld holo pick, Dragon's Crown, was Adam. Let's move on to Chris. Chris, tell me about your extensive handheld history.
So my extensive handheld history doesn't exist.
Yeah, I know. So, yeah, this is a funny story. Your mom didn't let you have handheld.
So I was the oldest kid
You
by
were?
a couple of years.
You were always responsible, doing your homework.
Yeah. And I said, Mom, this Game Boy just came out. I would really like to have one. She said, no, of course you can't have one.
Did you guys really talk like you were Beaver Cleaver? Because every time you're telling this story, you're like,
my mom
mother
was
said
wearing
this.
her pearls. She was in her dress vacuuming the living room.
You were always a responsible kid. I would have given
Yeah.
you a video game. Like, for listeners that don't know, when
The reason he was responsible is because he was not ruined by
you're
video
right,
games.
Yeah.
that's probably it. She did
Yeah.
actually. She gave us strict time. Like, she would sometimes
Yeah,
tell us to go
video games
outside.
are the root of all evil.
Yeah. Chris's mom would tell
the
us.
reason there's sin in the world.
Yeah, Chris. Yeah,
I learned that
I
playing
heard
Final
that,
Fantasy X.
I heard that Hitler loved video games.
Oh no.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, that was a quote from Lincoln, right?
yeah.
Found on Wikipedia.
Yep.
Yeah, he loved the Intellivision. I'm just kidding. So, yeah. The Fuhrer loved Intellivision. So throw it out of your house
Put him
right
in
now.
a fury.
Yeah. So anyway,
So I asked my mom for, I don't know, at least a couple months when the Game Boy came out to get me one. And she just said, no, I was stuck with only consoles growing up and still am pretty much married to consoles. I've played a couple PC games.
Yeah.
But that's as far as I've ventured away from there.
yeah.
Until my younger sister asked for a Game Boy and my younger brother asked for a Game Boy and they both got them.
Yeah.
So
She was more in your defense. Your mom was way more strict on you than
Dude, that's the way it works,
That's-
man.
yeah, oldest kids.
my sister and I are the older two.
Okay,
And then
yeah.
I have 2 younger brothers.
And I'm the
there's
younger.
5 years between us.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was like,
parents run out of
yeah,
care.
yeah. For us, they were like, pretty strict. You got to have this,
Yeah.
a certain amount of time in front of the TV and everything else. My brothers, it was kind of like, hey, you want to sleep till noon? Whatever.
Okay. Yeah.
They've run out of fights to have.
But
Yeah.
you were good. I was alluding to this, but Chris, you used to we used to play video games and you used to do your homework while we were playing video games, like when we would trade off levels for something. Yeah. Well, it also, you're a freaking electrical engineer, right?
Yeah.
Did I say it right this time?
Yeah, so the other reason I don't have a lot of free time is because I'm also working on a PhD. So,
Yeah.
big time suck.
Yeah, it is.
But yes, to circle back around to handheld holla. I don't think that's right.
No, we're not going to do a horn. We're not
That
going to
one's
do a
going
horn.
to get a kazoo.
Yeah, actually, can you please do that, Adam? It's Adam's edit time. Please add a kazoo to that terrible handheld holla. But go ahead, pick your handheld pick. Considering you didn't pick one, this is
what
interesting.
I did get instead of a Game Boy was a one-trick pony. So I will recommend what I actually wound up having a lot of fun with, the Konami handheld Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game where you kind of just jump around on different points on the screen.
It's an LCD game, basically a Tiger game. Awesome recommendation for everyone.
Don't call it a Tiger game. It was Konami, and it was way more cooler, better.
It was legit.
It does, I have if you look, I think we put a thing up on our Facebook. If you scroll back when we did our arcade memories, I took a picture of our my Ninja Turtles corner.
Enclave? Yeah.
My little Ninja Turtles corner that has the arcade and the pinball. And I actually have a real advertisement meant for a store that was never displayed that has a Ninja Turtles video games and shows like the handheld versions of them. And I super nerdy have like a display of them. So I have both of these games. There was Ninja Turtles 1 and Ninja Turtles 2 Shredder Speaks.
Yes.
Arcade perfect conversions.
Oh, no. It's just literally like the LCD, one black image.
Beep, boop.
Jumps to the left, jumps to the right, and eventually you die. And that's kind of
boredom.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, of boredom.
And there's a whole level of awful, horrible video game collecting that I'm into, but one of them is actually Tiger LCDs.
Yeah.
I've got a fair number of them.
Tiger LCDs, I think, are pretty cool. The very popular Angry Video Game Nerd did a video, and unfortunately, a lot of people cause this, but man, he was one that made these things skyrocket. Now you could get these things for $1
Oh
or
yeah,
two
they just gave them
all
away
day.
at garage sales. Like, oh, please take it. It's put a pox on our house.
It's one of those $1. People
Yeah.
feel like take something else with it. If you're going to take it for $1, I feel bad. I had one called Karate King back in the day, and I rebought that one. I had a Ghostbusters one. There's a Bo Jackson one that's pretty cool that you flip over.
Yeah.
But outside of the dogs are scurrying above us. Again, we're in the basement. Every once in a while, when people aren't used to the basement noises, we're like, should I throw some holy water somewhere? That's just my dogs running around. Where was I getting at? My train of thought just derailed.
Bo Jackson handheld.
Yeah, Bo Jackson, of course. Going right back to him. I owned a couple of these things, but one I really want to get is the Full House one. Have you seen this?
I have seen it. Yes.
Yeah, there's one with Full House, and it makes no sense. All of them make no sense.
Yeah, I've got Mega Man. The last one I bought was Mega Man 2, the Tiger handheld.
Woof.
There is no Mega Man 1 Tiger handheld, I don't think, or nor
Yeah.
is there 3 or 4 or 5. But it was the popular Mega Man game, so it's got its own Tiger release.
Yeah, maybe some of you share your collections out there of your Tiger handhelds. We can't be the only crazy people buying these things. I think they're cool. But if you didn't grow up with them, it's a great thing to show your kids and say, you got it way better than us.
Oh,
kid."
exactly. Yeah, you spoil
Welcome
a
to
little.
the future.
You spoil a little turd. Look at this thing.
Yeah, look at what I started out on. How about this? You get your allowance if you get to level 3. They're not going to get to level 3.
No, nobody gets to level
there's
3.
no freaking way.
Yeah.
All right. So anyway, my handheld holo pick, my turn is I'm going to pick. Let me think about this. It's going to be a Game Gear game. So everybody who's got their Game Gears at the ready listening to this, I'm choosing for my handheld holo. I'm going to shout out Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. That's it. There's no subtitle. That's just it. Mighty Morphin Power Rangers for the Game Gear. This is arguably one of the best Power Ranger games. I was not into Power Rangers when I was a kid. I was a little too old for it. I was too old for it. But definitely when you're a kid and you don't have cable, if it's on, you will watch it. So I would watch it back in the day every once in a while. And I realized some of the video games are pretty cool because they're basically superhero games back when.
Yeah, the Super Nintendo games actually are pretty good.
Yes.
The Power Rangers games. And there's a full motion video Sega CD Power Rangers game.
Yeah.
Which is actually it's the pinnacle of video game.
I
the
quasi
Sega
own that because it came inside a Sega CD that I bought and I didn't know was in there. Or not
really?
bought, I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah.
A family member just gave that to me. And I opened it up. He's like, oh, Power Rangers.
Yeah,
in
if you
there.
ever want to watch anything that's like so embarrassing that it makes you kind of cringe,
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
It's pretty bad.
Yeah, it's a QuickTime event full motion video game.
Yeah.
But this one that I'm talking about specifically, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers for the Game Gear, is very good. It's a very kind of twitchy arcade game. It doesn't play like levels straight left to right. You basically jump into a level and you're kind of in a tournament kind of arena where guys come from the left and the right, and most of the enemies you can hit in one hit and knock them down and knock them back. But the move set is really big. It's a pretty dynamic game because there's a lot of boss fights to it. It is an inexpensive game, $2 game maybe if you find it, but it's definitely probably in the top 20 all around games for the Game Gear. That's not a hard thing to do, but I was pleasantly surprised. I played through it and beat it dozens of times as a kid. Mighty Morphin Power Rangers for the original Game Gear is a surprisingly amazing game, so pick that one up. That is our handheld holla for this episode. All right, so something I wanted to talk about, and all of us really wanted to talk about, was this year in gaming is so good. I wanted to say, what were some other great epic gaming years? Because this is up there right with them. Yeah, and this is a great way to kind of go back and see if we can tickle some nostalgia feelers. That's a weird thing to say.
Yeah, I feel kind of gross now.
Tickle feelers. Why don't we just get a little nostalgia buzz?
Indulge
I need
the
some nostalgia soap.
Yeah. Yeah, we got to clean off. Don't put it in your mouth. They did tell you to. A lot of cartoons back in the day used to say, like, put the
Irish Spring.
Oh yeah, and the guy used to cut it with a knife.
Yeah.
Do you remember that? The Irish Spring commercials.
Yeah.
That'd be a great. We should get that sponsor now.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, he would talk and he was all Irish, and he was all Irish. Jesus, he would talk and he's all Irish.
They got their branding down.
Yeah, he would have his accent, and of course, that's so like novelty-ish to us right there. And so he would just go up to say, "Oh, this is just like the waterfall," and we're like, "Oh my god, he talks like the guy
That's
on the
right.
box of my cereal." This is
Yeah, it
fun.
was actually Liam Neeson. Yeah, and then he would start talking about how he has a certain set of skills or something. I don't know.
I got
what
a
that
certain
was.
set of skills.
gotta-
I'm able to lather myself and not leave any soapy film. Let me cut this piece of soap in front of you. And then he would hold it up, and I'd feel like it's smell-o-vision, like, oh. And I actually, it's funny, I don't buy it anymore, but I used to buy some Irish Spring and just smell the crap out of it. Like, God, I want to cut it with a knife. Man, if you don't know what we're talking about, please look up a commercial, and they definitely do that. This guy just trying to make it sound like appetizing, like you're eating a piece of cheese, just like slice it right off. But Adam and I picked out a couple years. There's more than these 4 years, but we each picked out 2 years that we both kind of felt were very prolific years in the past that we can kind of compare to this year. That were 12 months of awesomeness. And if those 12 months didn't exist, I don't know where we would be. Adam, what do you got for your first one?
Well, the first one, I don't know that it was as prolific a year as it was an important year.
Good. Okay, sure.
And that's 1985.
85.
85.
Oh, man. What a year, right?
It was.
Summer
you know,
of Sam.
I
I'm
was,
just kidding. I don't know.
No, I mean,
Cubs win the World Series.
I was, 3, I guess, at the time.
Exactly.
or whatever.
I
So,
don't
it's not like I
remember
remember
85.
this really well, but,
Yeah.
it's the days of the Atari, the late 70s, and, video games kind of were all the rage. All the kids were doing it.
Yep.
They kind of captivated the imaginations of the nation,
Yeah.
at the time. And then that kind of rolled on for a few years, and then people started getting a little bit burnt out by buying really crappy games
Yeah.
at relatively high prices.
This Pong is astounding.
Yeah, and then that's when the video game crash of '83 happened, and kind of when Atari tanked.
Yep.
All of the Hasbro and all the other companies that were kind of part of video games at the time sort of
The fad was over.
yeah, it really was. And people thought, I mean, again, I've read about this. I was there for it, but I don't really remember it. But by all accounts, video games back in late 83, 84 were kind of dead. You could go buy games for dirt cheap. There was surpluses of games. Basically, people just fire selling things.
Yeah.
And but that was in the United States, and it was somewhat isolated to the United States. And you had people like Sega, people like Nintendo, kind of having a renaissance of video games over in Japan.
Yeah.
And 85 is the year when Nintendo looked across the ocean and said, we're going to release a console. And everybody said...
Like Sarah Palin look across the ocean?
No.
Oh, figuratively.
Yeah,
Got it.
no Russia was seen. but they looked across the ocean and decided that they were going to try to weasel a video game console into over here. They were going to rebrand their Famicom and make it look kind of like a VCR, pack it in with a toy named Rob, and Trojan horse it into American video game homes.
And you know what? It worked.
It did. It worked.
It sold wonderfully. It was, you can hear about this story about these guys like, it's out of suitcase, trying to sell this thing, and it ended up being a phenomenon.
Yeah, and it's weird because even like initially retailers didn't want to carry it because they said we already got burned by all this garbage but it's kind of interesting in a lot of ways that it actually worked.
Yeah.
And I don't know that 85 was a great banner year, but it was the beginning of a trend.
Yeah.
Because from 85 forward into the 80s, things just kept getting better. And it all kind of started with that.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. There are great, arcades, pinballs. Old school guys with the ponytail will tell you that there were video games before that and all that kind of jazz at 85. But really, it is true what you say. Like, if we didn't have that 85 year, who knows what video games would look like now? So it is an important year. What else went on in the old 85?
I mean, that's the main thing. Sega was doing stuff themselves. Of course, the Master System was kind of getting ready to come out, and it never got that big in the United States. It was much bigger over in Europe, South America. Back in Japan, it was big.
Yeah.
But really, for us, that was kind of our thing that kind of put everything back on the map.
Yeah.
I suppose. But Sega was still doing other things. There were a lot of arcade releases and so forth. Hang On, for instance, Ghosts and Goblins. All those kinds of things came out back in '85 as well. So
nice.
So some of the big video game companies that you kind of think of, people like Namco, of course, Sega, which had already kind of been around, but was starting to really make a name for itself and being known to Western audiences.
Yeah.
So '85 was just kind of a year where everything that had kind of not died over in Japan but was really cool was starting to come over here, and we were becoming aware of it. So, and Capcom, Ghosts and Ghouls, that kind of thing.
Yeah, and that's how Nintendo got their, as they say, the treasure chest, right?
Yeah.
They had gained so much revenue during that time, mainly also for their publishing ideas, as far as having a lock about, well, if it doesn't have that Nintendo seal of quality, you can't put it on our system. Of course, there were some, we've talked about it before, there's some people who bypassed that illegally and then got sued, and there's some great videos by our friend Norman Caruso, the gaming historian, has covered these things a lot as well, that are go into great depth that you can check out.
Nintendo, I mean, for lack of a better term, back in the day, they carried a club. I mean, they were kind of, I don't want to say the word mafia-like, but they ruled with an iron fist back in the day.
I'd say mafia-like would be okay to say. And from what it sounds like, they were kind of like,
they really did.
You don't want to do it? Come here. Yeah.
No, they really did strong arm the market back in the day. Yeah.
They sure did. There's a lot of people at the bottom of rivers with cement shoes due to Nintendo.
That's why you put a Rob in every house so that they can always watch you.
Yeah.
That's right.
If you look in Rob's left eye, if you have one at home, you're going to see the world's not smallest camera with a big wire coming out the back of it. That would have been hilarious. Like, who are they trying to kid? But yeah, okay, so 85.
Yeah, so 85, big year.
Yeah, what else you got?
The other year that I picked was 96, and this is kind of because it was a prolific year in a way, but it also set up, I think, the current trends in video games. So so travel with me back to 96.
Here we go, going back. So in a DeLorean. Hold on.
So where we're going, we don't need roads.
No.
Anywho, so back in 96.
Plutonium.
Yeah, so back in 96. That was when the N64 was released.
Yep.
PlayStation and Saturn were already out.
Yep.
And this is where PlayStation and Saturn kind of came into their own. So things like the Crash Bandicoots showed up. Things like Nights into Dreams showed up. Of course, Nintendo, Mario 64.
Mario 64 coming out in 96.
Yeah, which was huge. But basically the big hardware rivalries, that sort of thing, were really, I mean, everybody kind of looks back to the Nintendo, or Sega does what Nintendo don't, and sort of the console wars between Sega and Nintendo. But I actually, at least in my personal history, really felt the console wars were even bigger around this time, because you had Sega, you had Sony, you had Nintendo, and they were all kind of competing with one another.
They were, and when you have three, it's kind of, you get to see, like, what the problem with having a fight of three is generally two of them are at battle and one of them just looks bad. And I remember that from all the video game magazines, like things like the Sega Saturn was always like, okay, you're in this fight, kind of.
Well, and then you had these fringe systems at the same time too.
Oh yeah,
so you
just
had
like 3DO.
You had the 3DO, you had the Jaguar, And
these were rich person consoles.
Yeah,
that's what my brain thought of them
and
as.
the CDI, you had these other things that were kind of off in the background.
Yeah.
But 96 was kind of an important year, I feel like, just because things were starting to move away from FMV. 32 and 64-bit games were kind of becoming, into their own.
Yeah.
3D was becoming a thing. Resident Evil released in 96. So there are games that you can point to in that year that are kind of like they were the prototypes for things that come out now.
Yeah.
And a lot of the dynamics I think that you see in video games now started around that time. So I think 96 was kind of a banner year because of that, just because you can sort of look back at that year and say, that was the setup for everything that came thereafter. I mean, you can say that, I guess, about any point in video game history, but particularly modern gaming, I feel like really started to evolve right then.
Yeah, and Mario 64 was a long wait. I remember that. You remember
huge
that?
wait.
I mean, I remember 8th grade or whatever, and there was this guy who wore like a Mario shirt. It was pre-order. We were just so stoked about it. But then when we actually saw the screenshots of it, even the screenshots, you're just kind of like, I mean, this is a game changer. Like, what does this thing look like? And some of the stuff that it did are still seen today in many games. Chris, I remember at your house, I played Resident Evil for the first time. Do you remember that? Boy, talk about when
that dog, man.
That dog jumping through the glass.
Dude, any of it. Yeah, the zombie,
You remember I jumped the most at a most random, unassumed time. We had this friend. You had it. He was your friend, not really mine. I say he was your friend, not mine. I didn't like him. But he was a guy who played a ton of. What was his name?
David.
Okay, we could say David. We won't say his last name. I'm sure you're listening. Not at all. He is a video game dad, isn't he?
He is.
Yeah. So anyway. David was like really good at video games. Like
He was a monster when it came to video games. Like,
Yeah.
He would double fist GoldenEye, like a controller in each hand, and
Yeah.
still winning.
No, and it sounds like we're talking
no
about
idea.
Bill Brasky.
Yeah.
Do you ever see that Saturday Night? Bill Brasky, he went to Olive Garden and ate 4 bowls of salad and 72 breadsticks and still asked for more. But this guy really, sorry, I won't do that voice again, listeners, because I almost just had a hernia doing that. Jiminy Christmas. I think I lost a testicle. It's okay. I got 3 more. So anyway, back to this guy,
Just like
David.
Bill. No.
Yeah, I know. Bill Brasky. God, I love that skit.
18 of them right in the pouch.
I know. I'm actually can't breathe right after that stupid thing. That wore me out. But yeah, he was so good at video games. He played Resident Evil kind of for us and knew exactly how to play it. He mixed herbs and stuff back when we didn't know what we were doing. We're just like, here's an herb. We're going to use it. If you don't know what we were talking about, sorry, we're not talking about a paraphernalia.
All digital, guys.
You kind of have to use strategy in order to do the health packs in Resident Evil. Mixing herbs together is not something normal kids know how to do. But
If you're poisoned, you need what, red herb and
don't
blue
even
herb?
ask. I have no
Okay,
idea.
Yeah,
this
there's
is-
red,
been a
greens,
bit.
and yellows.
Let's
I
get
do
David
remember that
on.
much,
yeah, let's get David on speakerphone. Just kidding. So anyway, he played through Resident Evil, and we kind of watched him play. But I remember one time he went. What I was getting at was he walked by this like hole in the floor, and it and it jumped out, and this tentacle just shot you in the neck real quick. And I jumped back, and I think I almost broke the PlayStation. It turned off the TV. Man,
I was over at his house when he was playing 2 when they introduced like the little tongued crawler guys, and I was like, okay, I've seen you play this for 5 minutes. I'm never touching this.
Yeah. But anyway, back to your year of 96. Boy, Resident Evil, those 2 games kind of count as like 10 awesome games when you're talking about Mario 64, you're talking about Resident Evil. One more quick David story. Sorry, it's just, you know who this guy is, and something that was cool. So you guys remember Halo? He was so good at Halo when Halo was first online. He would throw grenades up in the air and snipe them. And I don't know if you've played on this controller. That's hard to do.
Yeah.
And he would do that for practice
He
because
would
he
do
was
it
so
on the.
good.
He would do it on the Duke.
Yeah, he'd do it on the Duke.
Wow, I can't even walk forward on the Duke.
Yeah, he would, and like, that's, the grenades end up being like one little pixel thing, and he would do that for fun. Do you remember what we used to do? He used to play online.
Yeah.
And we would take over the headset, because this is the first time you could play online in the headset, and he would own everybody. And we would then...
It wouldn't matter what sort of trash talk you came up with, he would stand up for it.
Yeah, but what we would do is we would take his headset, and he would walk around Halo and shoot everybody up. But the thing about Halo was when you were close to a player, you could hear them, but only when you were close to them. So like across the map, you couldn't hear them in your speaker, them yelling or saying or whatever. And we would go up and do this noise like ga 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 ga, and he would like kill everybody, and I would just watch it, and because he was owning it, and I could just like laugh and stuff and just totally troll everybody. I would go ga 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 ga, because he would go up behind him and shoot him, and we'd hear little kids screaming all the time. It was so much fun. I hope.
Now, for context, we were still teenagers,
Yeah,
not
yeah.
creepy old guys.
yeah,
So
yeah, but it was just
this was
so.
pre-video game dads.
I could just hear other kids wetting themselves on the
Oh,
other
yeah.
end of the thing. It's really fun to like be with a ringer, and that's what he was. He was some weird video game savant.
Oh, he's a lot of fun.
Yeah, but anyway, back to the video game years. So the next year we're going to talk about. Do you have any more of that year or that?
Well, I was just going to mention briefly, it was a pretty good year for Saturn games too.
Okay,
a lot
yeah.
of the Working Designs games came out that year. Guardian Heroes came out that year.
Guardian Heroes,
Panzer
great.
Dragoon 2 came out that year.
Yeah.
So, and I already mentioned Knights, but good year for Saturn. Probably Saturn's best year.
Yeah, 96 a very pivotal point, especially for PlayStation. Okay, so of the 2 years I have picked to go up against 2017, the first one I'm going to talk about is 1998.
98.
You guys are both like, wah, wah. Yeah, what about 98?
98. What happened in
Where's the slide
98?
whistle?
Yeah, I know. Yeah. So 98 was a prolific year. My first girlfriend. No, I'm just kidding. Sorry. It actually was my first girlfriend. What came out? Half-Life came out this year.
Half-Life.
So 98, really big year for video games. I'm not going to talk too much
I
about
love the
systems.
original Half-Life too.
This
Such
was the original Half-Life.
Yeah, such a good game.
Yeah, original Half-Life. Okay, boom. We're right there. Grim Fandango. That was a great game. Considered a pretty great game.
Yep.
Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. That's you're
Pretty
right.
good game.
That's a definer.
All right, Metal Gear Solid. The
Also
first one.
another definer.
Again, it's all 1 year. Metal Gear Solid. Crash Warped. It's the third game. A lot of people liked it. I thought Crash 2 was better. Oh, did you like it?
Yeah,
Go ahead.
I liked it. No.
Okay. This next one I played a ton. Gex 2 Enter the Gecko. I threw this one in there just because
Yeah,
I like it.
the smart alecky gecko.
It actually was the 9th best-selling game that year, so I figured it's worth saying on this list. Here's another one that was very popular, and I remember also David playing it. StarCraft. PC.
Oh yeah, I played a lot of that.
So we're talking
David
Star.
was a nightmare on that.
I
Yeah.
had to not play that anymore. I had to set it down and walk away.
Oh wow! So
Yeah,
you
before it became a problem.
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Starting to scratch and stuff.
Yeah.
So we talked about this already, but Resident Evil 2. I mean, talk about this is when they broke out. They're in. It's not New York, but whatever.
Raccoon City.
Thank you, Raccoon City. Rolls off the tongue. You guys just yeah. This stuff's made in Raccoon City.
Raccoon City. Get your brain in iron.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Whoa. Oh man. Thank you for suggesting a new. That'll be
Yep.
episode 25. F-Zero X for the Nintendo 64.
That's a good game.
Very good game.
Yep.
Panzer Dragoon Saga came
Also
out
a
as
good
well.
game. A cheap one, actually, that one.
Yeah, real inexpensive.
Yeah, it's only like
played that in
$600.
Disney World.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
How'd
they
you?
had the innovation area in Epcot, and I went
Whoa.
down there once, and the entire area was just full of new video games. And
Yeah.
it was awesome.
Yeah, so I've heard about this, and what's funny about what you just said is like probably a lot of nerds just freaked out because that was something that they don't create anymore, and some people have some home stories. iRetro Gamer, if you've ever heard of him, he's got some videos of that thing. I didn't know you actually got to see that.
Yeah,
That's
it was
freaking awesome.
awesome.
That was like back when kids could play games before the press because they would only bring them here, and the fact that you got to play that is crazy.
Yeah, I remember when I went to Disney World when I was a kid, they had an
Ooh, no, go for it. It's more fun.
animatronic. They had an
job.
animatronic Michael Jackson.
Ooh,
They
scary.
would like it was a robot Michael Jackson, and he would like moonwalk.
Way to
But
go,
yeah, I remember
Imagineers.
they had a bunch of robots and stuff in the Epcot Center, and I think that's probably was replaced with video games.
That sounds that sounds right.
Not long after.
All right, and we're still on 98 here. Star Wars Rogue Squadron for the Nintendo 64.
That's a good game.
That's a great game. Not as well known as a lot of these, but
That was a release title, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's Factor 5. It was a release title when they released the expansion pack. It was one of the
yeah,
games they
because
used to-
98 now
It was
is
kind
2
of
years
the
after.
It was kind of the release upgrade stuff that coming out around
Yeah.
then.
Here's a game I really like. Spyro the Dragon. The first one came out 1998. I really like this game. I've said before, we had the drummer from the Police, Stuart Copeland, doing the soundtrack. It was one of the first games where you didn't have a draw distance problem with the PlayStation, which was the first time you either had fog or pop-in. This eliminated pop-in, and for a game like this, no other game did it, and they just basically were really good at the code, the guys from Insomniac. Still holds up really well. I remember I 100% completed it. Love that little purple dragon. I played the first one. You actually played the second and the
played-
third, and
I think Most of the series, I have no idea where I dropped off.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it gets a little weird, but the first one was great. Banjo-Kazooie also came out this year.
Great game.
love that game too.
And you collected a lot of that too.
Yeah. I don't think I 100%ed it because it was ridiculous to
Yeah,
try. So.
the people who 100%ed it are in the
know-
ground.
Yeah, I know that I did not 100% that game, but I played a lot of it.
That's a game people refer to as it was too much to collect. I've heard.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
a collect-a-thon is the word for that game, but it was a good collect-a-thon.
Yeah.
Another
I
game.
still love climbing the giant snowman.
Yeah.
Another game that came out that was very popular and created quite a well-loved series, Gran Turismo. That was a.
How was
great-
that 98?
That was 98.
I would have picked a later year than that.
Yeah, and Metal Gear
Yeah.
Solid. I just remember even Chris and I were not into video games. I remember playing that with you. We both got it because of the preview stuff for it, how they were showing the real-time reflections on the cars.
yeah.
I mean, to this day, it still looks good. But
Still plays good. The physics are good.
yeah, the physics are realistic, which was not what you were used to. That was a great game. Tomb Raider 3 of the series, 1, 2, 3 was the weakest of the three, so that might be a little knock. Parasite Eve.
That's a good game, actually. I replayed a good chunk of Parasite Eve not too long ago.
Yeah,
actually.
for the PS1. Very good game. One thing I found interesting when I went through this, Gran Turismo, I thought was going to be in the top 5 best-selling for that year. It was like 23rd. But I see Gran Turismo everywhere. Maybe it sold. I'm guessing it sold more in '99.
Yeah, I
Maybe
bet it had a
was
really long sell life.
I bet
Yeah.
it was a late release, like
I
November.
think it had a really good soundtrack too, because I know
Yeah.
that was how I was introduced to the Cardigans
Yeah.
on there. So
Yeah, and that's what you're wearing right now. Just
Yep.
kidding.
I am wearing nothing.
Well, I'm wearing Garbage, and they were in that too. Garbage is a great band
Yep.
if you want to go back to 1998. So that's basically 1998. You know, Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time, Metal Gear Solid, Rogue Squadron, StarCraft, all these games I've already named, Gran Turismo, Parasite Eve. It's a pretty solid year. Without these games, video games could be pretty different or taken a while to innovate. All right, there's 1998. So who's ever in that corner, there you go. The other year I picked, a lot more modern. We're still going over a decade. 2007. You guys ready for this?
We're ready.
Okay.
Take off.
2007, the reason why I consider this one of the best years for their releases, you have BioShock.
It's a good game.
Yep. It feels like we're running out of steam. We're just like, we've listed off so many games.
I actually have. So I got the BioShock compilation for PS4. I played through about half of the first BioShock just last month or so.
Oh, you've never played it before?
No, I played it before, but
Oh.
I played back through about the first half of it.
I've heard, I mean, it holds up, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I was like, man, I can't believe this game is that old, and it is so good.
Yeah, it's 10
Like
years old.
it is a great game.
Yeah.
BioShock is one of the first games that I played on the PC, which has a lot more, I guess, nuance in the controls as opposed to we have to combine 4 different buttons into a single console controller.
Yeah.
So I got well versed in that, just running around shooting lightning, smacking stuff with pipes,
Yeah.
or wrenches, and that was a lot of fun. And then I got the console version of 2 and Infinite. I was like, I have no idea how to make this guy shoot stuff.
Yeah.
And it's really awkward to transition across.
Well, here's a pro tip. Don't ever play on PC then. Pro tip? Yeah, just kidding.
Don't spoil yourself.
Yeah, and everybody says that, control for something, especially a first-person shooter. And it should be said that this is a first-person game, but totally feels just like an adventure game. The Art Deco style of this game is just wonderful. If you, for some reason, have not played the original BioShock, do yourself a favor and play it, or actually just watch a Let's Play. That is one game that I also think you could just go back and...
you may be getting to... Did Prime come out this year?
I'm
just trying to think of what year Metroid Prime came out.
You know what's funny?
It would have been near this time,
Oh, yeah.
maybe a year before.
I think it was the year before.
Yeah, it was before. I think it was 2004.
Yeah.
Because I know I beat it by 2005.
Well, wait. Prime was for the Wii.
No, Prime was on GameCube.
Yeah, that was GameCube.
Oh,
Yeah.
you're right.
You're
It is
thinking
2004.
of Trilogy.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of Trilogy. Yes, you're right. That was
Yeah,
before this.
Prime is probably actually my favorite first-person game of all
Oh,
time.
yeah.
Oh, really? Yeah. Oh, that's right.
really good.
I remember you loved the heck out of that.
Oh, it's so
So
good.
I played straight through 2, got to the final boss, and you had to color coordinate stuff, and I am colorblind
yeah.
and could not beat the boss.
Yeah,
Thanks,
yeah, but,
Nintendo.
yeah.
yeah, but the real only reason I bring it up is because BioShock and Metroid Prime are both on like are both on like this
What are you
shelf.
doing breaking stuff?
Yeah, I know, right? They're both on like this shelf of like these great first-person games that really changed the genre.
Yeah.
Like, and they're both so good.
Yeah.
But anywho, I digress.
No, it's good. I mean, this is we're talking about a bunch of games all at once. Okay, so after BioShock, Call of Duty Modern Warfare, this was the first. This is the thing that started the whole Call of Duty craze for arguably the next decade.
Why everyone does FPS.
Yeah, and FPS was everywhere at this time, but this was the one that everybody was trying to chase, and this is why there's a ton of FPS around
Yeah, I
7,
guess
8 years
it
ago, 8
started
years
with
ago,
Halo.
9 years ago. Yeah,
But yeah, this
Halo
was
was a
the
big.
next
Well,
step.
GoldenEye, if you want to get into the back.
Yeah.
But
I don't
really,
think everyone congregated around GoldenEye. If you mention it to someone, they're like, "Oh, I love that."
Yeah.
And it just didn't stick around like Halo did.
yeah, that's true. But like as far as nostalgia,
Oh,
I think
yeah.
GoldenEye
No,
is big. And
Pinnacle,
you can
almost.
argue to say GoldenEye. What was the next one we said for first-person shooter? We just said it.
Half-Life?
Halo.
Halo, yeah.
Yeah.
GoldenEye, Halo, and then Call of Duty are probably your biggest sellers, biggest.
Well, that's the sort of natural her progression to this genre is now collecting more and more fans.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and I mean, and of course, I think it's already peaked, but nonetheless, the first Call of Duty Modern Warfare was a game changer. Next, we have a little game called Super Mario Galaxy.
So good.
Yeah, really good. This was a game for the Wii. This is, we're going to talk about this new Mario release here before the episode ends. Next, we have a game called Portal. Also came out this year.
I love Portal.
The original
Yeah,
Portal.
Portal is probably my favorite. I shouldn't put it ahead of Half-Life, but as far as actually enjoying playing it,
Yeah.
I like it better than Half-Life, actually.
well, it's in an easily digestible.
Yeah, but Portal
package.
1, Portal 2, I played through both of them multiple times.
yeah.
I played through them on PC. I
Mm-hmm.
played through them on the PlayStation. I love those games.
Yeah, I played through Portal. So the first Portal, which is the game we were talking about, it was the innovation was the Portal system, right? And
Yeah,
the puzzleness to it. And even if you're not a puzzle fan, it was amazing. I played through Portal 2. I really liked it, but I haven't gone back to it. But I mean, I think it's amazing. But you like playing through it a bunch of times?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Just the banter of
Yeah.
the intercom and Gladios or GLaDOS or however you
yeah.
say her
GLaDOS.
name, and even like Portal 2, when you beat the game, she like sings a song to you at the end. I will play the freaking game just to hear her sing the song at the
Yeah.
end.
I
Like
got the
it's
track.
yeah, it's just. I mean, I know you can listen to it on YouTube or whatever. It's so stupid that I just love it. I love everything about the game. She turns into a potato at one point,
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
you get the people who made that game had so much fun making it.
Yeah.
And it's just such a good game to play.
And
It's a great game.
And we should say the even the first one, Portal 1 and Portal 2, we'll just talk Portal 1, the final boss fight was great.
Oh yeah, they're awesome.
Super it's kind of like Mario Galaxy type innovation, but like won't spoil it for you. If you haven't played Portal, please play it. But the
Oh, yeah.
final boss fight for Portal is up there with one of the best.
Is it just me or did it have astounding like pop culture impact? Because for a while after that came
Everybody
out,
said,
everywhere
"Eat the
was
cake."
cake and my little cube buddy.
Yeah, everybody was wearing Aperture Laboratory
Companion
T-shirts
cube.
everywhere.
That's
Yeah.
right. Even my friends who like barely play video games had Aperture
My
Science
brother
bookends.
got my oldest a
T-shirts.
Portal onesie. So
Oh
yeah,
my
Portal
gosh.
Onesies a whole nother level.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I could go there.
And I also see a lot of Aperture Science bumper stickers,
Yeah.
and I'm just like, oh, you're not going to cut me off. You're too nice of a nerd. But anyway, so moving past that, this is another one where it's, to me, not super nostalgic, but big for the video game genre and our collective population. Rock Band came out.
Oh, yeah.
So Guitar Hero was out before this, and Guitar Hero was very popular. But Rock Band really, for a period of time, this was like you had a party and you were a certain age, Rock Band was there playing.
I
it.
still play Guitar Hero and Rock Band. Yeah. I'm not ashamed to admit it. They're still fun.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody kind of got burnt out on it and everything else, but yeah, I still.
There's a video on YouTube of us out there playing it somewhere. Don't think I didn't put it
Is
up
that
there.
on YouTube?
Yeah, I put it on YouTube.
Oh,
but I
God.
put it under a dummy account. You couldn't even find it. It's
Okay.
literally like play
Good.
right. But it's us
didn't
and
that-
Norman is
And-
on there.
and Norman on-
And who was singing? I think it was Shane, right?
Yeah, Shane was singing. Yeah.
And what I liked
Actually, it kind of pisses me off a little bit because
Yeah.
I was playing drums and I was not doing very well. and Norman played the drums better than me.
Oh yeah, he was very good.
Yeah, I got replaced. I got booted, and I think I got to play bass because I was not doing well that night.
Yeah, that's really good because I would see that too. It's like your personality sticks out when you do the Rock Band stuff. Does you?
That's probably one of the reasons that we're married.
Really?
Like, you introduced me to Guitar Hero
I did.
around the time that I met my wife, and I was like, check out this cool game. And so we just played the heck out of it for a long, long time.
That's awesome. And you had a wedding cake.
You were playing like power ballads.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's
Fans
good.
of Killer Queen.
Yeah, can you imagine like you getting up, say, "Hey, honey, hold on a second."
Yeah.
You turn on the PlayStation. You break out your plastic guitar.
Yeah.
And then at the end, did you like break it over a thing? It's just like splinter.
There's a
your hand.
picture of me out there, like,
Yeah, but Shane,
yeah.
Shane's Rock Band setup's good though. He's got the
Smoke machine.
He's got the smoke machine and the lights and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And yeah, when we played it over at his house, the wives upstairs actually started. They thought that we set something on fire downstairs.
Yeah, and I didn't know before that. I mean, by then it was already old. I had no idea that Rock Band actually came with a smoke machine that worked in sync with the freaking songs.
Yeah, it does. When
Wow.
Yeah, did you know that?
all
And
times.
lights,
That's
and it has
amazing.
the like.
Yeah, that was like the mega deluxe pack Rock Band.
Yeah,
you know?
and I really think my brain
Yeah,
wants to
peripherals
find
got
that.
so crazy because
Yeah.
I actually bought the Wii version of DJ Hero Renegade Edition not terribly long ago.
Oh yeah, I know that.
It's
thing.
this huge turntable thing. It's like this
gold.
gigantic case.
It has Eminem.
It's got an
stamped on
Eminem
it.
and a Jay-Z CD inside of it. You know, it's like a special release just for that.
Shoot.
So good.
Yeah.
Not.
Yeah. No, it's not. DJ. Did you play DJ Hero?
Yeah.
Did you find that there was a delay, or was it just my TV, or what? Because I played it, and so the DJ Hero soundtrack for the first one, I listened to in my car for probably like 2 years straight, and that's when I loved mashups. Now mashups, I are like overdone. It's kind of like Skrillex type music. Like there's a time and place for it where I was like, heck yeah, I just want to friggin'.
It's all like dubstep.
Yeah.
Kind of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was like a small period of my life when I was into that stuff. But
oh,
like,
you were super into rhythm games for a while.
yeah,
I still like rhythm games. I still play them.
yeah, I played them.
They're kind of my guilty pleasure, I think.
Yeah,
I was to the point, any time that I went over to his house, he was playing one, and I'd go over there like 2-3 times a week.
yeah, and I was playing Amplitude. I loved rhythm games when no one did. When Guitar
the Bowie
Hero
one.
Guitar Hero came out, I was following that game for a year before it came out, and I was so excited about it. And I remember watching G4 TV, and they were showing it about a month before it came out, and they like broke the peripherals like I was joking, but like as a fun like prop thing, and my brain was just like, just send it to me. Like, why did you break this thing? I loved Guitar Hero. I played the snot out of it. What was funny was it's probably why I don't play guitar now, because before Guitar Hero came out, 3 months before it, I bought a real guitar and I started playing it, and of course like strumming through the chord, like, clang, F is clang, and then all of a sudden a Guitar Hero, and I'm like some savant because I'm like, I just have to hold down a button.
One of the best things about Guitar Hero, though, is everybody has a friend who actually plays guitar who would come in and like throw their nose up in the air and be like,
Oh,
"I
yeah.
really like playing the instrument." Blah, 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 blah. And I've got a couple of friends like that, and I would get out Guitar Hero just in front of them just to be like, "Hey, I can play just like you."
Yeah, yeah. Look how good I am.
Yeah, I'm really good at this. I bet I'm better at this than you are.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's not a real instrument. You know, it was so good. That was the best part of that game, is that I was better than the people who actually play guitar.
Yeah. And it
would make them
so
mad.
Fun. It was so fun, and it sounded so good. And you felt like I would say, if you felt like a rock star, as close as you could feel for being
Holding your tiny little
plastic
guitar.
But
Yep.
in their defense, they came up with Rocksmith came out, which actually you hook up a generic guitar into the peripheral thing, and you can play. Have you heard about this?
Yeah,
Rocksmith?
yeah. I've actually bought it.
Yeah, I have it too. I have all 3 versions for the PlayStation 3, where you can hook in a regular electric guitar and plug it in, and you can actually play. It's Guitar Hero for legit, but I don't know how well it's sold. I think
Not as well as Guitar Hero did.
Yeah.
of course not. Yeah, and nowadays, rhythm games have actually tried to make a revival. Sorry. Okay, so let's keep moving on quickly through here. Uncharted, the first one.
Pretty good. Not nearly as good as the others.
Yep. Yeah. Assassin's Creed, the first one.
They're both proof of concepts.
Yeah. So what's great about these, they obviously spawned so many sequels, and part of you can think, oh God, this is where it started. This is where Chucky was born. But I mean, Uncharted and Assassin's Creed, those first ones, a big year, and they were at the time pretty amazing. God of War 2.
Oh,
game.
yeah.
This is a PS2 game, guys. I'm talking about in 2007.
I really like the God of War series just pretty much across the board.
So I was really disappointed when 2 came out because I had gotten all the extra bonuses from 1. They were like, these are potential stories for the sequel. And when it came out and it wasn't those stories, I was like, but I built this up in my mind.
But you didn't like Guitar Hero 2?
No, I God of War
God of
2.
War 2.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, you didn't
I
like it,
liked it. It just took me a minute to move beyond the initial disappointment.
Okay. All right. So don't disappoint Chris.
Yep.
That's what we're
Life
saying there.
lessons.
Legend of Zelda Phantom Hourglass, considered a great game. This is a 2DS game.
It's a DS game. Yeah.
DS game, sorry. The Witcher came out. The first Witcher. I never played it, but,
Yeah, I haven't even started on any of the Witcher games because I ain't got no time.
Yep. Mass Effect, the first one came out. So 2007 is very much a year for changes. This was HD. New HD was relatively new.
Yeah,
but
Mass Effect's one of the games that made me a little bit jealous of Xbox owners. It's probably
Yeah.
the only game that made me jealous of Xbox owners back at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
2 came
Is that
out.
when Wii came out, or was that 06?
06 was Wii.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and then this is kind of a cheap ad, but it was good considering how it came out. Resident Evil 4 for the Wii edition came out this year. So it obviously came out before this, but
That's
it was
the one we played through.
yeah, it was quite a good game. So really, this was the start of it. Mass Effect, Uncharted, Assassin's Creed. This was a big year of starts of franchises that are going on to this day. Maybe you can say this year, looking at the opposite way, kind of ruined innovation. So maybe that's a hard thing to bring up. So of these 4 years, I'm really liking 1998 that we talked about so far.
Yeah, I think I'm down with 98.
I
actually think this year is very similar to 98.
Yeah. All right. So
Yeah.
let's start it off. Let's talk about this year. I do have a list in front of me that we can go down, or we can kind of just start to spurt stuff off. What would you like to do?
I don't know. You can start on the list, I suppose.
All right. Let's start on the list. So even though this isn't a game, the Switch was released this year. Okay.
It's an enabler.
Yeah, it's an enabler. But when this game came out, Zelda Breath of the Wild came out.
Yep.
And Zelda Breath of the Wild is considered by some the best Zelda. Next, we have Super Mario Odyssey. Now, this just came out, but I'm putting them together because they're 2 huge Switch releases.
It is amazing that these are both first year of console releases. It's astounding, actually.
Yeah, and we'll get into Super Mario Odyssey a little bit after this, but let's talk about this. That I posted this on Twitter in case you follow us on Twitter. A Super Mario game, a Zelda game, and a Sonic game are all considered legitimate, arguably good game of the year contenders, and it's 2017.
Yeah.
Sonic, Mario, Zelda. How cool is that? I think that's really cool. I really think it's neat when you can take something that is that old and realize, like, it's not tired. We're actually just learning on everything we're going to do. Zelda's case, it seems like they kind of flip things on its head.
Sort of, but it's both those games. It's like they took everything that made the old ones work and took like sort of the core of it, the best parts of it, and kept that stuff
and added something
and then
new.
just added exponentially to the sides of it. Like it's just, I don't know. Both those games are just incredible in their own right. Like they're really amazing games, both of them.
Yeah. We have Resident Evil 7, kind of changes the way Resident Evil is played. Resident Evil 6, a lot of people jumped off this series. It's not very good.
I actually don't hate Resident Evil 6.
Really? Okay.
Personally. I don't, I'm not in love with it, but I don't have like burning hatred for it like a lot of people do. It's not a bad game.
Right. Yeah.
And it was a little broke. Actually, the biggest problem is that it was a broken game when it was released and had to be patched to make it work well.
Yeah.
But after that was done, it's a pretty good game.
Okay. Fair enough. But Resident Evil 7, you can play in VR. We have not played this yet in VR.
I played the demo. That's as far as I've done.
God, I'm so scared.
Yeah,
to
my
death.
wife's actually watched me play the demo and be like, "Yeah, nope."
I wanted to, who I wanted to do it was Chris, because Chris and I, when we were kids, we used to play scary games with each other.
It's a whole nother deal when you got the helmet on. Like, it's all up in your grill. It's all gross, you know. Ugh.
Oh man,
Doing the dead.
yeah, I can't mess with that. Another game came out. I'm kind of a fan of it. Horizon Zero Dawn this year. Great game. Destiny 2. I don't play this again. You can shout out to Dad's Gaming. We've talked about them before. They are good kind of family-friendly community of if you play online a lot and you're a dad and you're having a hard time playing with other people because really you're kind of in a different age group and you want to get a guild together, you want to get a group together, play through multiplayer games, check out Dad's Gaming. Destiny 2, I reached out to the guy and said, hey, how's this game playing right now? We don't talk about this on the podcast because we're not huge multiplayer fans. We kind of just don't have the time for it. But from everything I've heard, Destiny 2 is really fun.
Yeah, sounds really good.
Time-consuming game. Another great game. Assassin's Creed Origins came out. I can't comment on that outside of the fact that it seems to be getting good reviews.
It looks cool. I will get it at some point, I think.
Yeah, unfortunately, it happened to come out when two amazing games also came out that same time, including like Stranger Things also came. It was a big day, that September 27th. So Assassin's Creed Origins seems like a nice refreshing of that. Wolfenstein 2 came out, and boy, I'll talk about it here in a sec, but like the one thing that could keep me from buying this day one and playing through it and talking about it today was the fact that Odyssey came out. And any other game that I would be looking forward to, I would have picked Wolfenstein 2 over it. But I have heard some interesting things. I can't wait to play it. Have you heard about this game?
Not a lot. I mean, I know it's reviewed fairly well.
Okay.
And I'm actually not going to play it until I go back and play the New Blood and some other stuff. Like I'm going to get it when the price gets a little bit cheap, and they're going to go into I'm going to do this eventually pile. But I just don't want to jump straight to it without playing the stuff that came before it.
Yeah, and the Wolfenstein games before, the gunplay, the way the corridors are set up, the way the graphics are set up is amazing. It's just done so well, and the storyline is great. What I heard about this one specifically is the story in this one takes chances that haven't been taken for in games like this before. I can't comment on it because I haven't done it yet. I will say to listeners, in case you're about to pick this up, we actually had a email about this. Someone playing, I'm going to go ahead and play it on the hardest difficulty. I've heard from 2 different podcasts now that you need to play this on the default difficulty or the easiest, because this game, unless it gets patched, is ruthless. The second one specifically, to the point where people aren't having fun playing it. Like, you just get annihilated. But also, I play first-person shooters differently, and I didn't have a problem with the first one. I digress. Next, Prey. Didn't play this. I heard it was a good game. It came out this year.
Yeah. I actually, I don't know if you're going to get to it, but Doom, the new Doom, the other Bethesda game.
Yeah.
Super good game. And
wasn't that 2016?
Was it 2016?
Yeah.
Well, they're doing a re-release.
They are.
So it still counts.
Yeah, sure.
Because they're really getting ready to release Doom VFX, which is coming out before Christmas.
They changed it to before Christmas.
I think so, isn't it?
It was
Am I wrong?
January.
Did they push it back to January? Oh, I wanted to include it in
okay.
2017. Well, still, Doom in VR is going to be awesome.
Yeah, definitely.
So sorry, it doesn't count.
No, it's okay.
You can count against Chinese New
I've
Year.
got it pre-ordered. I just, I thought it was
too.
supposed to be out by December, but I guess not.
Yeah, maybe they upped it, and I didn't know. Nier Automata. You're not a big fan of this game.
It's not that I'm not a big fan of it.
Well, it's just not your thing.
It's not my cup of tea. It's a good game.
Yeah.
I put it in, and then it turned into kind of an open worldly kind of thing, and I'm like, no, just leave. The first hour of that game, or maybe 2 hours, awesome.
Yeah.
And after that, it's just like, no, this. If I had time, it would be a great game. It's not a game I have time to play.
Okay. The new Middle-earth game came out. That seems to be getting mixed reviews. Some people really like it. Next, this is something that really pushes this year with all the other ones we've talked about too. Cuphead came out this year, obviously. This is another 2017.
Cuphead's a good one.
Huge game. And then next, we're going to go South Park Fractured Butthole. I said that the way I could say it, but that game is also getting rave reviews. I played through the first one, haven't played the second one. Neo is one that I think is the biggest under the radar.
Neo is a
hit.
game I really want to play, and I know that I'm really going to like, but it's been out long enough now that I don't want to pay like $50 or $60 for it.
Yeah. Oh,
and
it's going to be a $20 game.
Yeah, and I'm just
Friday.
waiting. I'm thinking, Black Friday or before Christmas, it's going to be a game that's going to be gettable for relatively cheap, and I really want that game. It looks awesome.
Did you hear about this game before?
I have not.
So Neo,
NIOH.
NIOH actually.
Oh, I have heard about it.
Okay, it came
I
out.
was thinking NEO.
Oh.
I haven't heard of anything like that.
Yeah, so what happens is you take the blue pill or the red pill, and then you
Can you
meet
take them
Morpheus.
both?
Yeah. Oh, that's funny. I'd never thought about that. Like, what if he reached in his hands and took them both real quick and said, "Now what the fuck are you gonna do?"
They're going to be like, "Oh crap,
Just
we're
stroke out.
We're just going to have to see what happens."
Oh my god, is a mirror gonna start coming out of my arm and then go up in my thing, and then all of a sudden, God, that's a great movie. So that part didn't make a ton of sense. Uncharted Lost Legacy. Did I mention this on the last episode that I played through this?
Oh, you did. I actually
Okay.
just beat it just a couple of weeks ago. Yeah.
Yeah. So I've gotten about 6, 7, 8 hours into it. Oh, I said I was about to start. Maybe, I don't know, but I did end up doing what you said.
Yeah.
I think, and I got some sort of necklace thing. Won't go into too much about that, but I'm spending a lot of time.
Yeah, I
being
spent
very
a lot of
thorough.
time just running around in it.
Yeah.
I was not in a hurry when I played it.
Yeah, I really like that. I don't know when I'm gonna have the time to get back to it, but
It's really good.
It is very good. Evil Within 2 also came out this year, getting good reviews. I can't comment on it.
I might play it eventually.
It sounds like just like the first Evil Within by the the Resident Evil 4 director didn't have as much to do with this game, but he was evidently still consulted. That is also a very big release this year. And here's one that I put an asterisk next to because I haven't played this. You haven't played it. The first time we ever talked about it was when Norman Caruso talked about it. It's called PUBG, PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds. This came out this year, and this is that computer game that's basically like a island deathmatch game that's currently going to be a Xbox exclusive temporarily. And they don't know. It's funny. Some people don't know whether to consider it a game of the year because it's still in beta, alpha, beta, gamma, delta, whatever the heck. But this is a game that once it hits consoles, again, we're talking about a PC game. This is not our genre, but I had to include it because this will be considered one of the best games of the year for a lot of people, and they're going to put it on a top 10 list. They're going to put it as their game of the year. From everything I've seen, a lot of people are enjoying this. If you're a listener out there enjoying it, let us know what you think about it. I haven't played it yet, but from everything I hear, it's the equivalent of like...
It looks very interesting.
Yeah.
I could see it being a cool game.
Yeah, super interesting. And then upcoming, so here's the thing. We're doing this now on November 1st is when we're taping this. With our tape and our reel-to-reel.
That's the spool running in the background. That
Hold on, I got to change the reel.
Yeah, so there are two I'm going to mention, at least two. Star Wars Battlefront 2 is coming out this year. So by the end of this year, Star Wars Battlefront 2 and this Call of Duty World War 2, which seems like it might be a very good game. I'm not. This is kind of a wash as far as making this. But Star Wars Battlefront 2, that the fact it's going to have a first single player mission.
Yeah, that's kind of what makes me want to play it. Is I liked the first Battlefront, but it was very good looking, really cool playing game, but ultimately kind of hollow because it just didn't have a single player campaign at all.
Yeah, they had a cool VR mode for that as well. But that is one that potentially I could see that being a Game of the Year contender. That's why I'm including it. Sonic Mania, we talked about this. That was again this year.
Super awesome game.
I was going to say Splatterhouse too. I didn't play this Splatoon 2. Not my kind of game, but
it's really cool. Yeah,
Okay.
It's really good. It's worth playing. I mean, I actually have not played it that much myself. My son loves it.
Yeah, so this is a good one. This is a good video game dad pick. Another one that came out that was a homage to older games, kind of fell on off the radar because it's kind of a time and place. Ukulele came out this year.
Yeah.
And I think if it honestly wasn't for half of these other games, it would get a little bit more talk. I played about 4 hours of it, and I really enjoyed it. Another game that was download, Little Nightmares came out. I just kind of threw that in there.
Yeah, I bought the collector's pack for that. With the little figurine and all that stuff in it. And I want to open it, but I can't open it.
Oh, you're one of those.
I don't want to. Well, I don't want to be one of those guys.
What if someone opens it for you? I'll just open it when I come over.
Maybe you
that
should.
won't piss you off at all.
Yeah, no.
I'm gonna
you might
open all the
actually
crap
should do
in
that
your house.
because it's like sitting there and I'm like, I really want to kind of play that, and then I'm like, I don't want to open it.
I've got an idea.
I'm getting
Give it
like
to Grayson.
I'm giving. I know
Your decision will be made.
I'm starting to get the worst habits of collecting, and I don't want to have them. But like I have not opened that because I don't want to open it.
Yeah. So of the three of us, obviously Adam and I are crazy, and you don't. I mean, you get some of your old stuff, do you, or no? Chris?
I still have at least Conker's sitting downstairs next
Yeah.
to my 64, along with
Okay.
Mario 64,
All right.
which I broke out about a year and a half ago
Okay.
and rebeat everything. So.
Awesome. Mario 64 went
Yep.
back and got good for you. All right. Mario Rabbids came out this year. A lot of people like that game. I feel like it's kind of dropped off. Ghost Recon as well. People kind of talked that up. That kind of dropped off. Snipper Clips came out.
Snipper Clips is great. And not
yeah.
game of the year, but
No.
game that you're going to play with your family and have a lot of fun. Yes.
Good to include. I feel like,
Yeah.
if this was one, like, remember 10 years from now, I'm talking about BioShock, talking about Call of Duty, talking about, I'm trying to pick out things that a podcast 10 years from now, the Video Game Granddad's podcast.
I think Snipper Clips may actually become a franchise, though. I mean, I think that's something that's going to get reinvented.
Yeah. Do you know about this, Chris?
reiterated.
I don't.
Okay. It's basically like a fun puzzle game that requires two-person co-op. I guess you know.
It's 2 to 4 person player co-op basically, and it's kind of a cutesy, artsy, craftsy kind of game.
Yeah.
And it's kind of competitive, but it's kind of cooperative. It's a lot of you and another person or two yelling at each other
You
to
get
do
like
this
litter
and do
fight
that.
breaks.
No. It's like construction paper. But
Okay.
It's just
down.
it's just a simple game, but it's a lot of fun to play.
Yeah,
And
it's-
for really anybody.
It's kind of like, do you remember those games you used to play, like team building exercises? Or like, an egg spoon race? Imagine that putting into a video game, yet fun. And that's what this
I
game
think you
is.
broke my mind.
Okay, yeah, I think I did too, because that's
Yeah.
not a good way to describe this.
It's hard to describe it. I mean,
It's
if you watch a
Trustfall's
video
the
of it,
game.
you'll instantly understand it as soon as you start
Exactly.
playing it, or if you see a video of it. But it's really hard to put into words.
Yeah, so this is, listeners should know, this is going to be a game I will try for the 100th time to see if my wife will get into. She's like, oh, whatever. But we'll see. I'm going to buy it. They're having a physical release coming out soon. I'm going to check out if my wife likes Snipper Clips. But basically, yeah, you're trying to create A to B task, and it's really intuitive in the way that, honestly, I feel like something like, it's not Wii Sports, but I think it has the potential of being a Wii Sports type game when people look at it.
I
as far
actually
as,
think
like,
it was a oversight to not include this with the Switch. This should have been included with
yeah,
the Switch.
Nintendo should have.
This should have been already pre-installed on every
Yeah.
Switch that was
or
released.
anything. How about that? How about Zelda or that 1-2 Switch?
Yeah.
I still feel like that was a last minute decide, and they went back and forth about making.
Yeah,
that
but
a
I mean,
pack-in.
Snipper Clips is the game where you can instantly give it to somebody, just like Wii Sports was,
Yeah.
and then they go, "Oh crap, that's what this system does.
Yeah.
That's what's unique about this, and this is what makes it fun."
Yeah.
like it's that game.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, so that's going to be the two games I own for the foreseeable future. Is going to be Mario and then Snipper Clips when it comes out. We already talked about Neo, Pyre, What Remains of Edith Finch. I've heard wonderful things. It's
I
one
really
of the-
want to play this. Actually, this game seems right up my alley.
Yeah, Arms. I didn't play it. Again, it's hard to say this would be a top game. Injustice 2 as well. I had to throw a fighting game out there. Also, Marvel vs. Capcom. Infinite. Came
It's
out.
good. Yeah, I own it.
Yeah, so we already talked about the upcoming. So that's like 2017. I'll run back through, RE7, Super Mario Odyssey, Breath of the Wild, Destiny 2, Wolfenstein 2, Nier Automata, Cuphead, PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, Sonic Mania. This was a heck of the year. Oh, I forgot Persona 5.
Oh yeah, great,
Persona-
great game. I've not actually played it yet, but it looks so good.
Yeah. This is a game that would have to be a video game book club pick, I think, for get me to play it.
Yeah.
But a lot of people who have
Also,
never played a Persona game.
Is it the last real non-sports PS3 release? Persona 5.
Non-sports if you don't include Just Dance, and you don't include Cars.
Yeah, those don't count.
Okay. Yeah. So it is one of the last.
I actually bought it on PS3. I've not played it, but I have the PS3 version.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, it is one of the last. I think the last PS3 is still making games for it, despite what it's funny what GameStop employees said. Oh, they stopped making games for it years ago. And I want to be like, you work at a video game store, and you notice this says Just Dance 2018. Do you think they made it in 2016?
I actually just got Just Dance 2018 for the Wii U.
Oh my gosh. So, all right, everybody, it's time for cue music, or don't.
No,
at
I'm
all.
not. I'm not. It's not complete.
Dang it.
It's still not complete. But I do have Just Dance 2018 on it.
All right, so how close are you? Chris, you may or may not know this. We haven't been talking about this on recent episodes. I know you've been listening more to these recent ones.
I don't know how close I am. I'm seriously like 5 games, I think.
Yeah, that's what kind of about what you said last time.
But this just came out. I knew it was going to come out, and
Yeah.
if I didn't pre-order it, I'd forget to get it. So I pre-ordered
Yeah, so
it.
he's
So I
about-
spent way too much money on. Is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
But it'll also be like probably pretty damn rare because Wii U's kind of not alive anymore.
Yeah. Very close to that complete set. We also have Gravity Rush 2. I got the first one as well. Good game. And Yakuza 0. Heard wonderful things. It's so funny how many of these games that recently came out, Yakuza 0, Gravity Rush, Neo, Prey.
Yakuza is one that I want to play eventually.
But I was getting at, like, these are games that, because this year was so chocked full.
Yeah, like they're like half the games in that list I have not played, but I really want to play them. And I'm kind of hoping they don't release any games at all in 2018.
Yeah, why don't we ask them that? Someone we could write a memo.
Yeah,
so if
guys,
you're
just don't make
Dear
any stuff.
Sony.
all those video game developers listening to this independent podcast, just know that we would like you not to release any games in 2018. We'll probably get a signature started going around. No one's going to sign it. This is a dumb thing we said, but it's like true, man. It's part of having kids. Picking and choosing for sure. So what do you say? Let's just throw it 1998 for 2017. This is a very conclusive definition. Once what we say is true, it is the best video game year of all time. We did miss out on like 2001, 2000. But really, it's between 1998 and 2017. The big ones: Half-Life, Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time, Metal Gear Solid. We got Super Mario Odyssey, Zelda: Breath of the Wild. Show of hands. We're going to do a show of hands. 1998 versus 2017. Let's do a show of hands. Okay, that's interesting. 2017, a show of hands. We're currently tied. And
not multiple hands.
It ends with a tie. There's 3 of us here. You didn't see it. I can't believe what happened. Did you everybody just see this? This is like I'm just messing with you guys because I was just thinking, like, how the heck do we decide? In all seriousness, what do you guys say? 98?
I actually say 2017. Yeah.
Okay, a 2017.
Which
I
like
say
to think
98 because you can see the impact that year had on 2017.
All right. Okay. Very good. And that is something that is what you said is very important. 2017, we're going to have to wait, see stand the test of time. We're going to say, is this conclusive or not? I want to make a decision.
back in a
we went
decade.
through this whole talk. Let's make a decision. I'm going to say that 2017 was the best year in gaming. There we go.
I am actually going to get put on my Nostradamus hat.
Okay.
I actually think this may be the best year ever,
right.
even going forward.
Going forward.
Because I think there's too many bad trends in video games right now. I think this is I think this is one of the last years where we're going to get all of these kind of releases.
That this good.
Yeah, because I think microtransactions and I mean I don't mean to be bleak, but
we talked about this last episode.
But I mean there's going to be big cool games. Don't get me wrong that happen continually, but
always.
But man, I just don't know that we're going to get this many big AAA really good games. In this quantity,
and throwing some nostalgia out there with Cuphead. I mean, a few things throw this over. Cuphead.
I mean, there's always going to be good stuff come out, but man,
Mania.
I just think that this year is going to be a tough one to beat. And the reason I think 98 and this year are both great years for games is basically for the same reason. So 98, PlayStation, Nintendo 64, like the main systems had kind of been out for a while. Developers had time with them. They kind of figured them out. They had kind of figured out how to make games for the hardware that they were using and what they could pull off and what they couldn't, how they could tell stories, how they couldn't. And that's what made those games really good is because they were refined and they were also released at the peaks of their consoles.
Yeah.
And right now we're right at the peak of, the Xbox and PlayStation 4, arguably, I suppose. And then you also had this little sleeper that nobody really ever. I don't think anybody expected that much out of the first year of the Switch, and it's just I mean
I didn't.
And I mean I'm still just blown away by how good the software is that's come out on the thing, and so like I said, it's just a very unique mix of soup. I think that's going on in '98 and this year that you just don't see but once every a decade or so.
Yeah, very good.
The stew years.
Yeah.
This is. There you have it. We couldn't say it any better. It's all downhill from here. Go ahead and hide in the bunker. Grab all the games made in 1998 and 2017. You'll be good for the rest of your life. Okay. Hey, so I just wanted to point out something that was announced this week. Guacamelee 2. Drinkbox Studios announced Guacamelee 2 is going to be released. I'm really stoked about this. I loved the first Guacamelee. Did you play it, Adam?
I have.
For
and
those
it
in the
is
audience who have no idea what you're talking about.
Okay, sorry. Yeah. Yeah, very good. So Guacamelee is a 2D side-scrolling platformer in the vein of
Metroidvania.
It's a Metroidvania game with style up the wazoo. It's called Guacamelee, and it's got a help me out with like a kind of a what is Day of the Dead type of South
Dia de la
American
Muertes.
Dia de la Muertes.
Yeah. Sorry, anyone who's Hispanic. I didn't mean to do that.
Yeah, 3 white guys from the Midwest. That's what we are. So it is it's just that, but the style and the humor are very good. The art style is very cartoony. The platforming as you progress through the levels gets really interesting. You start dealing with freezing time, backtracking, not backtracking, like going back in time. Did you ever play Rayman Origins?
Yes.
Okay. Or the new Rayman games. Think that without the 3D aesthetic, and then put in this kind of Day of the Dead.
Okay.
And actually, they're a little different games. Not one's better than the other, but I just think it is a terrific game. They made a physical release of this for the PS4 and a limited release.
Yes.
And the fact that they announced this, I am stoked. It's one of the dozen best games I've played in the last 10 years. Really good, under the radar pick. If we ever do a download only pick, I would definitely pick that. But so we're gonna do one more segment. We're getting near the end of our time, but we have to talk about this game. Adam, what are we gonna talk about real quick?
We're going to talk about Mario Odyssey.
Yeah, so this sucker came out.
It did, yeah.
What have you played of it?
Well, so I don't know. I probably put about 10 or 12 hours on it now.
Okay.
Well, maybe, probably around 10.
Yeah.
Probably not quite to 12. But anywho, I kind of tried to avoid any coverage of this actually before it came out because I knew people were hyping it and everything, and I didn't want to read about it and then get overhyped.
Yeah.
So I pre-ordered it several months ago, and
Yeah.
then I just tried to sort of block everything out.
Let's say real quick, what are we going to do about spoilers here? How much are we going to do? Save it for another time?
We'll kind of leave out spoiler-ish things. I mean, minor spoilers, I suppose.
Okay, so minor spoilers, or we can have a little spoiler segment. Or actually, you haven't beaten it yet, right?
Oh, no, I'm not even close. I've been just kind of trolling around, and I've been playing with the 4-year-old, which slows down your progress considerably.
It does. Okay,
Yes.
so we're going to say this is mainly spoiler-free. I totally want to talk about this again next time when you're a little
that's
farther.
fine. Yeah.
I'm probably not going to get much farther.
Yeah,
because
because we've been playing 2-player where he controls Cappy, the
Okay.
hat.
Yep.
And I control Mario.
Yep.
And there have been many, many inadvertent deaths as a result of Cappy not cooperating.
Yeah. Yeah, so
But it's actually still been pretty fun so long as you're okay with dying a lot.
Super Mario Galaxy, the second player, all they could do was collect stars for you.
Yeah. No, the second player could totally throw you off of stuff in this one. But,
Unfortunately.
But it's still a lot of fun. But it's legitimately super good. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, I have played about 15, 16 hours of this thing. You collect moons instead of stars.
Yep.
And if you don't know, this isn't a spoiler, there are way more moons than there's ever been for anything.
There's I think 8 billion in this game.
Yeah.
Yes.
About 900.
Yeah.
I played 14 hours over a weekend. I'm not going to have much more time to play this. I could not put this game down. The level design of this game is some of the best I've ever played.
Yeah.
It's going to be hard not to hype this up, and I don't really care. Like it is that good. You need to play this game.
It's just pure fun is
Yeah.
what this game is. Like
Yeah.
there's nothing in this game that is not just fun.
Yeah. It's an adorable game. The feeling you get playing it is smiling ear to ear. It's challenging. This is for young players. This is for older players. This was for me because it justified me getting my Switch purchase. I think system sellers getting a system for one game isn't ever a good recommendation because I'm then saying this is a $300 game. If there is any game that's worth anything close to that, I would say this game is close to that. I'm not a Nintendo fanboy. If you're new to listening, I appreciate Nintendo just as much as everything else. I don't discount some of the wrong choices they've made recently, even in the more recent past. We've talked about that with the SNES Classic release, NES Classic release. This game is everything I wanted it to be and more.
Yeah.
It is. This is not a spoiler, but this is more of a follow-up to Mario 64 than anything.
Yes.
Chris, your favorite game, Mario Sunshine. Yeah. I'm just kidding. That doesn't count.
Oh my God, guys, let me go on for the next half an hour.
No, yeah. It's hard to do unless we want to put you to sleep talking about Mario Sunshine. We talked about that before the podcast, how we were like,
yeah, formerly, well, maybe I shouldn't say formerly. My favorite Mario game, 3D Mario game, I should say, is Galaxy 2, probably. Mm-hmm. And I don't know that I like it better than Galaxy 2 yet, but I'm pretty sure I like it better than Galaxy 2.
Yeah.
And Galaxy 2 and Galaxy 1 are both tied for my top platforming game of all time.
Wow.
So it's not a small thing, to say that I think this is ultimately gonna. I mean, it's hard because I wear old man glasses now rather than younger guy glasses.
Yeah.
But so it's hard to dethrone things, but it is that good. It's everything that made all of the other Marios great. Mm-hmm. It just built upon that stuff and got rid of the things that didn't work.
Yeah, and then added stuff I didn't know. So the level of polish is great. The length of this game. So I played 15 hours. I got to the end game. So I beat the boss. And this isn't a spoiler because most Mario games are like this. New things open up after you beat the game, and you can go back and get extra parts of this world. But the journey to the end of this, right? The journey is much more than the destination. I thought the ending was great. The destination and the conclusion to the story is wonderful. There are spoilers that I won't hint to that happen after you beat the game that made me I couldn't put this thing down because it pays so much homage to almost every Mario game before it, with the sound quality, the remixes to all the song. There's all these worlds, but it hits all these nostalgia points, and it happens in the middle of a level. So not a spoiler because this is pretty well known. There's 2D aspects to this that pop up in the middle of 3D that is seamless. And you'll pop into 2D and you'll pop back out into 3D, and they will add it to an innovative part of a game, like a bullet bill will turn back into 3D, back into 2D. The levels and worlds are all very varied. Sorry. There's a sand world.
Yeah, and
there's
they're
a snow
huge.
world. There's a ocean world. Oh, what's so great about it? It's like, that's not new, but the layout is different than Galaxy because you're not dealing with... The reason why I'm putting this above Galaxy for me, and Galaxy is great, so it's literally a perfect game followed up by what I think is just like an awesomely perfecter game. It's hard to talk about.
I mean, that's kind of
That's
the way that I kind of feel about it. The thing that makes this game cool is that you just see something, you're like, oh, well, that's just an innocuous, like, nothing little thing or whatever. And then you go over there and you start messing with it, and then you're like, wait a second, there's something else to it.
Yeah.
And then you go, wait a second, there's something else to it.
Yeah.
And then you discover a little secret. And there's that kind of crap everywhere. Like, oh, look, there's a little puppy. I wonder, there's a little dog. Let's go,
mess with it. And do you mess with the dog, and then what happens? Something happens.
Yeah, something happens. Like everything in the game.
Did you throw your cap? That's not a two thing. He catches your cap.
Yeah. And he becomes your little friend, But like I said, there's just these little things. And after you get certain power moons, new stuff changes a little bit to make other things more apparent. And it's just such a cool thing because you keep going back and forth between the levels. And every time you go back to a new level, there's something else to do in it. There's different ways to approach everything. I don't know. It's just a really, really well thought out, really, really good game, and it's got a ton of content.
So for perspective, I played through all the worlds, and there's like 13 or 15 of them. Again, this is not a spoiler. This should be pretty understood. And just kind of like in Galaxy, you can see a hat you're riding around. You're trying to go from world to world and fill it full of power from all these moons. You only need to collect in each world to move on approximately 10 to 20 moons per world to move on to the next world. I never once stopped at 10 to 20 before I moved on because, like you said, you can go here, move to there. The design of it, they literally... I've never seen level design this good in a game ever in my life. And I'm saying this without anything superfluous. Like, I'm saying this rolling off because it's true. The level design is so good. it constantly, you complete a task and not right in front of you, but around the corner of your eye is something else to go to that has nothing to do with this task, and it makes you then move on to it. It's almost like someone who has ADD, this is your medication for ADD, or this is the person that taps you on the shoulder that says, move on to this next subject, move on to this next subject, because it constantly was able to keep me focused on something new while I was doing something currently, and not feel like I was having my hand held through it, and not feel like it was doing it on purpose. And I still felt like I was making all the decisions for where I was going. I counted at the end, you can count how many stars and things you have. I never have more than 60% of the moons for each level.
Yeah.
And that's with me being, I thought, very thorough.
Yeah, and I'm playing it pretty, what I think is thorough on every level, but you go and you check the list, and you're like, oh, I haven't done anything hardly.
Yeah. There's so much off. I'm going to have to get a guide. I don't know how you cannot get a guide for this game. But then I've also heard of people who have gotten everything and they didn't use a guide. And I'm like, oh, maybe I don't want to do that after all. There's a little, how can I say this? So there's, I could say this. There's racing aspects to this that pop up, but there's also racing aspects that pop up later in the game that are a lot of fun and really challenging. There are some moons that are... So the moons like stars. Some are really easy to find. Some are literally like you complete a very simple task that can take you 10 seconds. You jump rope or something like that, and you can get a moon. But then also the boss fights. What do you think about those things?
They're kind of prototypical, I guess, for Mario games. There's a pattern you learn. They're relatively simple, and they're usually pretty short.
Are you talking about the so we can say this, like, the main bosses, instead of having Bowser's children, you have these rabbits?
Yes. Yeah. Sorry, I guess I should back up.
No, that's okay. So the rabbits are part of it, but there's also stage-specific bosses. Have you gotten to many of these?
I've played a few of them, yes.
Okay. Those are the better ones. Like, you can play and it's a pattern based. They repeat a lot. That might be the only knock, is you kind of repeat play some of the bosses, but they're so few and far between. You're not going to replay the same boss for hours. And when you replay it, it's like, it's still fun because it's really good platforming.
Yeah.
But there's stage specific bosses that have you do such interesting things, which isn't it funny? We haven't really talked much about the cap taking over. However, we talked about this for this long. The main gimmick of this game is you throw your cap and then you possess something.
Yeah.
And it could be random. It's pretty random. You can't possess every single thing out there. But it's over like 50, 60 things you can possess, like bullet bills and things like that.
Goombas.
Yeah, Goombas. Weird things I've never heard of, like this thing that looks kind of like a Cabbage Patch Kid.
Yeah, sometimes just blocks, cement blocks you can possess, or stone statues, or, there's all kinds of stuff.
Yeah. All the worlds feel very different. There is aspects of, like, just for perspective, one world that I went to that kind of looked like a Star Wars world. You probably have gotten to that. It's kind of like an outdoor. It's the closest thing to Horizon Zero Dawn in this game. It's a weird level.
It's like indoor. Is that the?
No, this isn't indoor. This is indoor. Yes, I thought you said it's indoors.
No, indoor. The forest moon. I'm sorry, I put on my nerd glasses.
Yeah, that's okay.
And it's like indoor. Yeah.
It is like indoor. That one I didn't like as much, but the more I played it, it's a very vertical game. The reason I didn't like it, I was playing it, that was near the end of one of my play sessions, and I kept falling. And the problem is when you fall off that thing, but there's fast travel. So, like, you can get to any part that's not super frustrating if you fall off. But what's interesting is, this isn't a huge spoiler because I won't tell you what happens. I fell off the world and I thought I died, right? In that game, have you discovered this?
I have not.
Okay.
But it's okay. You can.
Okay, so in the game, this is just one little small aspect why I can kind of, a way to reiterate why this game is so cool. When you fall off at the edge of the world, you go, and you die. Over and over throughout the entire game, you do that. Well, this world does not let you know that this is going to be any different. I played this level for like an hour, and I fell off, and I thought I was going to die. I ended up in a totally different sub-level that is down underneath this indoor level that has surprises. Gosh, I don't want to give anything away. We'll just say there's, like, it's now turned into like you're hiding from something that can chase and kill you, and you're in a part that like is like mysterious and really dark and kind of foreboding, and it's a whole level that's the equivalent of the size of a normal Mario 64 level, because most of the levels are bigger than that. So this is smaller, but it's a sub level that you can't get out of, and you can't even fast travel out of until you figure out a couple things to get out. And there's probably 10 moons down in this little area I would never have found unless I fell off the edge of the world, which I don't do much.
They probably play tested it a bunch and had people falling off there and thought, what can we do with it?
What can we do with it? But this is an entire level down there that I would have missed. And how much stuff I missed in this game is probably exponentially crazy. And unfortunately for me, this is the most I've played since my son was born. Mm-hmm. Only unfortunately because I don't see the next time I'm going to have this much time again anytime soon.
Sure.
And I've played it in the docked version, so I played it with the Pro Controller, so I can't say much about motion. But what's cool is from now on, I'm going to try to now play it 10 minutes at a time and see how much I like it, because that's all I'm going to be afforded to do, and play it in handheld mode, which I haven't yet. I actually just hooked it up to my little half-screen, like 19-inch HD TV, which I loved, and I couldn't put it down. I played it for, I think I messaged you, fair to say it came out Friday. I played it until like 4 a.m. that night. And the only thing
no, you told me how many hours you'd played it like last Saturday or something, and I was like, oh, he's got a problem.
Oh, yeah, I do. But you know why it's okay? I haven't done that in however long, like back when Chris and I played Batman
It's okay,
Arkham
I
Asylum.
can do it just once.
Yeah,
I'll
exactly.
quit again.
Yeah, so anyway, again, I'm a little farther. I guess I did good about not telling me spoilers, but this is a great game. I did not think I would enjoy a game more than Horizon Zero Dawn this year, and they're different games. It's not fair because they are so different. It's hard for me to ever say game of the year, whatever. But as far as enjoying a game, I didn't think I was going to enjoy a game more than that, and I enjoyed a game very much more than that. What world are you at right now?
I'm only to the indoor place. Like I said, I've been spending a lot of time.
Okay,
yeah,
so you've been pretty thorough.
No, we've just been trolling around
That's
the same
true. And you have
levels
your
over and
son.
over. Yeah.
So you've got so much. I'm jealous of you.
Oh yeah. No, we're going through it slow.
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't know. I do want to get everything. So check out our podcast in 2019 when I'm through everything to play everything under the sun. But Mario Odyssey is worth it. If you're on the fence, jump over the fence. If you're not near the fence, I'm not going to tell you to spend a whole lot of money. That's crazy. But if you like Mario 64...
Yeah. I honestly, like, if you don't like this game... I don't see how you cannot like this.
I don't see how you can. Like,
I
this
really
game.
don't. Like,
yeah.
I mean, I know that there are people out there, maybe PC Master Race kind of people, or like just won't like it just because there's no blood and guts and a lot of violence in it or whatever. But I literally do not know how you could play this game and not like this.
Even
game.
Those people who only play
I just don't know how you.
RPGs,
I just don't know how you
game.
could not like this game.
Yeah, there's enough here, and the way the level design is. It is not, and it's not in a way that's like vanilla to everything, right? That is the normal thing. Did I talk about that? Like Ragu versus whatever last episode, like how like basically like they're trying to make it to appeal to a mass audience, which is kind of like what a lot of the Call of Duties, the this and that, they're trying to just get enough people to make it middle of the level. This is actually just great. And it's considerate of people's abilities to not be good at video games, and then people's abilities to be dang good at video games.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, there was one part I was just waiting for this bird to fly around this huge level, and I kept waiting for it to come back, and then I realized, it's set on if I fast travel. So I'm going to keep fast traveling back to this point to have it respawn and come around. The other thing, real quick, is once you play a level, it completely changes when you beat it, which makes it not only... It makes it different where you play through a level, you beat it, you're going to have more to play. This actually gives you, it turns the level upside down. If it was frozen, now it's not frozen, so now you get to deal with like heat in the level. So it gets a lot of bang for your buck. So even though there's 13 worlds, when you beat each world, it basically doubles the enjoyment and the effect, and it changes it drastically in the setting. So you're getting like 26 worlds. Yeah, sorry if you're not into this. This is a terrible segment to listen to, but I was not thinking I was going to like this game as much as I did. I knew it would be good. I knew it's like Galaxy. It's going to remind me of it. Amazing game.
Yeah.
So you're saying that with this game, it's one of the ones that kind of justifies its high purchase, I guess, price to buy in on. And
To get a
you
Switch
got to
only
the
for
end-
it.
Well, yeah, you got to the end in 15 hours.
Yeah.
Do they have a rough estimation of how much time it takes to get everything, to do everything in the game?
That's a good question. I think I'll just base on how many moons I have. I guess if you're really good and you know where you're going, you can get everything in 30 hours. It's probably going to take me 40, 45. And maybe it's probably going to take longer because the later stuff is harder to get from what I understand. So, I think some people are going to take 60, 70, 80 hours to beat it. And some people will be fine, I guess, getting through it in the 14 and be done with it and put it down. I feel like it's funny because there's either completionists or people who play the game. I think this is going to make people turn into completionists who aren't completionists, or people who don't want to. Yeah,
You can do a one-off.
who don't want to get everything. I think that's going to be really hard. Mario 64, you and I got 120 stars.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had to go get all of them in Mario 64. Even Galaxy and all the rest of them. I wanted to see every little nook and cranny and find every little thing you could, and all the rest of it. So
Yeah, and Mario 64 has some parts that are kind of difficult that don't hold up as well with the camera and things. I think it's hard to knock a game like that because it's 96.
Yeah.
Come on. That was crazy for 96. But this game especially is the first game that has made that game seem lesser just because of how good this game is and how all the move sets are from 64. Every move that you can do in 64 plus some extras are in here, and they feel like extras that are worthy of the sequel. You can throw your hat and dive bomb the hat in order to get farther on it and do, the jump flip. You can do a wall jump. You can do that extra jump where you ground pound. And then what I also like is you don't have the fall damage that you had from Mario 64, which is nice because you fall from heights that are ridiculous. New Donk City is great. There's so many little surprises. I don't see how anybody wouldn't know. I don't think I'll ever get any hate mail saying you made me buy a Switch for this game and it's not very good. I don't think I'll ever get any hate mail from it. I really like this game. So go grab it, people.
all right, so we've been talking for a while.
Just a little while.
Just a little while.
We do it the 2 hours plus for you guys because you request. We cannot do more than do more than bi-weekly.
We've reached the limit.
Yeah, we reached, and it's really nice. I mean, some of us probably don't. Some of you out there probably don't care, but we hear I wish you could do more. So you can break it up. It's like us doing an hour every week. It's just 2 hours every 2 weeks. That's why we do it this way. Anyway, Adam, sorry, what were you going to say?
I was just going to say this. I think our episode's come to an end.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Chris, my
thank you, Chris.
childhood
having us.
friend, for joining us. We totally understand. We've got 23 under these belts, and you did a great job considering you've never done a podcast before. I didn't have to tell you to lean your head in more than a half a dozen times or anything like that, but we appreciate you.
I just like the way the mic smells.
I do. Isn't it awkward? It kind of feels like someone's invading your personal space.
It really does.
This whole
Yeah.
podcasting thing is kind of funny, but either way, we appreciate it.
Yes, we do.
Yeah, thank you. Known you since I was 4 years old, and we played video games together. And you are a dad, so we're like, hey, we kind of let's see if we can get on some here and there, some of our friends on for the times that we might potentially have to skip a week. We'd at least create some content for you. So, thanks again. Shane, thank you for everything you do. Hope you're enjoying your family. He always listens to our podcast too, so hope you guys are doing great, and Lexi's doing great. From our families to yours.
Bye-bye.